My name is Lin Chuan, and the girl I love just put a knife through my chest. Fang Qing, red hair. Sweet smile, I would have done anything for her. She looked at my supplies and said they would only last us 3 days. Then she grinned and told me to hand everything over to her and her real boyfriend Chen Hao. He had been with her the whole time. She held the bloody knife, and he held my card. That card was my only power in this broken world, and now it was his. He kicked me down. I grabbed at his leg, too weak to fight back. Idiot, he called me, still smiling. Why? I screamed. I pressed my hand over the wound. The blood would not stop. I had given them everything. For a whole year Feng Xing stayed by my side. She said the entire thing was an act. She pinched her nose. She said being near me made her sick. I reached for the wall. My bloody hand slid down the surface. Then I was outside, flat on the cracked earth. I could not stand above me. The sun burned without mercy. The world had already ended. Only bones and monsters were left. Then I heard the click of boots on stone. A red umbrella appeared above me, blocking the light. I looked up with what little strength I had left. Shua, my neighbor. We had barely ever spoken. She knelt beside me. I'm sorry, Lin Xuan, she said. I cannot save you, but I will bury you, so the creatures outside cannot reach your body. It is all I can do. I sat against the wall, bleeding out, and thought about my life. I gave them my whole heart, and the only person who showed me any kindness was a neighbor I barely knew. Then everything went white. I opened my eyes. I was on a couch. Clean shirt, no wound, no blood. I was alive. Somehow I had gone back in time. 1 week before the end of the world. In my first life, the extreme heat came without warning. It dried the rivers, cracked the roads, and turned every city to dust. Billions of people had nothing. The whole world fell apart. But I had something nobody else did. A game backpack that could pull virtual items into reality. When I first used it, the energy hit me like a wall. Light exploded in every direction. The system was real. Inside the backpack were rows of digital chests. Each one could hold real supplies, food, water, medicine, tools. I used them to survive day by day, barely holding on, and because I was a fool, I shared my food with Fang Qing and Chen Hao. They thanked me with a knife in the chest, and I died in the dirt with nothing left. Fang Qing, Chen Hao. I will pay back every single drop of blood. I looked at the red card in my hand. Last time I never learned to use it properly. This time I had 7 days. 7 days to fill this villa with everything I needed to survive. I focused my mind. The backpack system lit up behind my eyes. Each slot could stack up to 999 of the same item. The game had weapons, medicine, and gear, but game items alone were not enough. I needed real-world supplies too, which meant I needed money first, and real weapons to keep people away from what was mine. I pulled a rifle straight out of the game. It appeared on my table, solid and heavy. I smiled. This changed everything. Nobody would touch my supplies again. I tested the grip. The weight was perfect. A real gun from a virtual world. 4 days until the end. Time to spend. First stop, a high-end clothing store. I needed survival gear. Everything from the entrance to the elevator. I told the clerk, plus 3 rows of outdoor equipment. Hiking boots, thermal jackets, waterproof bags, every shelf. The clerk stared at me. I just smiled. She called her manager. He came with a calculator. I punched in my code at the register. Next, a luxury food shop. Shelves stacked from floor to ceiling. This shelf, that shelf, and that one. I said, empty them all. The woman paused. Sir, the limited mineral water is 500 yuan per bottle. I looked at the full shelf. Dozens of bottles in a perfect row. The whole row, I said. Her mouth fell open. Then the Wagyu beef. 30,000 yuan per steak. The man beside the display could not believe it. At the wine section, a woman showed me the 1945 Romanée Conti. 100,000 yuan each, 12 bottles on the shelf. The staff trailed behind me. The water and beef alone were already past 5 million. The man with the calculator stopped counting and just stared. The wine woman grabbed her radio. He's going to empty the warehouse, she said. How much stock do you have left in storage? I asked. I will take all of it, I said. She smiled and called an emergency notice through the store. The announcement went out over every speaker in the building. Workers in the warehouse stopped everything and started counting. The storage room was packed with boxes from floor to ceiling. I placed my card on the machine. Without a second thought, the receipt kept printing. It did not stop. I walked out. Both managers bowed as I passed. Outside, I checked my phone. 2 days left. My supplies were almost ready. I clenched my fist. I could still feel the blade. Those 2 smiling faces. They had taken everything from me once. The blood on my shirt. The cold look in her eyes while I bled. Never again this life I would survive. Then a voice called out behind me. Hey Lin Xuan, what did you buy? It was Chen Hao. Feng Den stood right beside him. I turned away without a word. A worker handed me the first box. Let them watch. They opened one of my boxes. Instant noodle and water bottles spilled out onto the ground. Chen Hao laughed. Fang Qing covered her mouth. This is all you got, he said. And you tried to hide it from us. I turned and looked at both of them. They stared at me like I was something to pity. Lin Chuan, Fang Qing said with a wide smile. Are you restocking some homeless shelter? Cheap water and cup noodles. I bent down and started picking everything up. The old worker beside me helped without a word. Supermarket, clearance sale, right? Chen Hao said behind my back. Fang Qing pressed against his arm, grinning. 40 million in loans, she said. And you buy this garbage to fill your stomach. She touched her cheek and sighed. Lin Chuan, can you at least try to be somebody? I closed my eyes and smiled. 2 days. In 2 days the world would end. The rivers would crack open. The forest would dry and split apart. And none of their money would save them. I looked at her designer bag. We'll see, I said. When that day comes, can that purse keep you alive? Or will the things you call trash save you first? I held the box against my chest and walked inside. In the storage room, I pulled out my checklist and a pen. 3,000 sets of clothing, all for seasons covered, 300 boxes of energy biscuits, 500 boxes of instant noodles, 5,000 cases of water. I checked off item after item. Red marks filled every line on the page. Almost finished. I lowered the pen and let myself breathe. Then I opened the game backpack. A blue screen lit up between my hands. Food, canned goods, bread, water, weapons, everything floated in front of me. I tapped the weapon section. -1 rifles sat in a grid, all fully loaded. Just the game items alone could keep me alive for 10 lifetimes. I looked at the shelves behind me. Every one of them was full. The end of the world was coming, and I was ready. The clock on the wall ticked forward. Not many hours left. I dropped onto the couch with my phone and leaned back. 5 minutes, the end was almost here. Sunlight poured through the glass. The pool sat still and blue outside. A perfect day, the last one like it. Across town, Fang Qing sat on a couch. Chen Hao leaned close to her, one hand resting on her leg. His mother sat nearby and shook her head. You really believe that poor kid's crazy talk? She asked. She waved her hand. The end of the world? I've lived 50 years. She picked through a handful of peanuts in her palm. I've heard that kind of nonsense at least 80 times. Chen Hao turned to her mom. We don't care about the end of the world, he said. The clock on the wall was almost at 12. His face split into a grin. Once noon passes, his villa and everything inside belong to us. His mother's eyes went round. That fool actually made that bet with you. Earlier that day, Chen Hao had brought me to meet his cousin. The man walked in, and Fang Qing was on his arm before he said a word. Cousin, Chen Hao said, putting a hand on my shoulder. This is my good buddy Lin Chuan. Then he leaned in and said something I could not hear. That familiar smirk spread across his face. The cousin's eyes sharpened behind his glasses. He was already doing the math. He has had some money trouble. Chen Hao said, wants to borrow a little. I stood beside him calm. The cousin stood up. His polished shoes clicked against the floor. I held up the red property certificate. This is the deed for my villa. I said, you know the area. I told him, holding the deed to my chest. He adjusted his sunglasses and studied me. City center, he said. I held the deed out toward him. Market price over 50 million. He took it from my hand and turned it over. Read every line. He stared at me through the smoke of his cigarette. Sign the contract, he said. Money in your account the same day. He raised one hand like it was nothing. 1 month to pay it back, he added. I kept my expression flat. He was not finished. I could see it in his eyes. 1 day late, he said, pulling the cigarette from his mouth. And the interest goes up 30%. He placed the deed flat on the desk. Can't pay it all, then the house is mine. I signed without hesitating. In 2 days this debt would mean nothing. Back at their apartment, Fang Qing and Chen Hao watched the clock. 2 minutes to noon. His mother sat in her chair with her hands folded. He'll learn what happens when you make stupid baits, she said. Fang Qing's eyes were cold and steady. She was already thinking about which room she would take first. Night fell over the apartment buildings. The streets went quiet inside. A polished shoe stepped onto the wooden floor. Someone was getting ready to move. Chen Hao jumped to his feet. That kid has no money and still pretends, he said. Fang Qing pressed her palms together, excited. She smiled and tugged his sleeve. No money and still lying to people, she said. Let's go take the house right now, she said, pointing at the door. Chen Hao reached down and grabbed a metal bat. The three of them headed out together. Chen Hao rested the bat on his shoulder. Today we throw him out of this neighborhood. The next morning, the sun hit the buildings harder than it should have. The three of them walked side by side. Still smiling, they had no idea what was coming. Fang Qing stopped and grabbed her head. Why is it so hot, she gasped. His mother wiped the sweat off her forehead. It's just a little warm, she said. Stop complaining then. Fang Qing pointed toward the fountain. Wait, she said. Something is wrong. The fountain still ran, but the trees around the plaza had changed. Something about them looked wrong. Back in my villa, the table was covered with food. Meat salad, fresh fruit, a bottle of good wine. I raised the glass. The red wine caught the light. I took a sip and smiled. It was here. Everything I said was coming true. Outside, Feng Shui's face was covered in sweat. The sky behind her glowed orange. This weather is insane, she said. She looked up, her skin already turning red. My face is burning, she said. Chen Hao's mother stared down the street. The trees had turned brown and bare. The trees, she whispered. They are already dead. She pushed through a crowd of people. Why is everyone standing around here? She asked. The three of them walked closer. A huge dead tree stood in the middle of the path. People gathered around it. Someone reached out and touched the bark. The trunk had cracked in half. Completely dry, completely dead. Feng Xing pointed at it. It burned to charcoal. She said. Everyone around her looked just as shocked. Chen Hao stared at the dead tree. His face had changed. Was Lin Chuan right? He said quietly. Two men in the crowd looked at each other. Is it really the end of the world? One of them asked. Someone set a fire. His mother snapped. I'm on the community committee. I'll check the cameras and find who did this. She stood between the crowd and her, one hand on her chest. I will get to the bottom of this. A security camera hung on the wall above them, its red light blinking. I will find this person, she said through her teeth. A young man stepped forward, sweat running down his neck. This isn't someone setting fires. He said. It's the middle of March. He looked up at the burning orange sky. Every tree behind him was bare and dead. Inside someone's apartment, the air conditioner was set to 16 degrees. It made no difference. This weather is not normal, the young man said, turning to face her. She forced a smile. 2 hot days and you all lose your minds. She turned to the crowd. The government is handling it. They're busy with important things. She waved her hand at them. If you're hot, go home and turn on your air conditioning. A large man in a yellow shirt clenched his fist. If the temperature keeps going up, he said, every crop in the ground will burn. The farmland stretched to the hills, dry and dead under the orange sky. 2 men talked quietly. Maybe we should start storing food. One of them said. Store what? She put her hands on her hips. This is all nonsense. She raised a finger at the crowd. If something was really wrong, do you think I wouldn't tell you? She was still going. The committee mother pointed at the men in front of her. Nobody rushed to buy food. She said if prices go up, who takes responsibility? The man in the yellow shirt looked at her with tired eyes. Our rice jar at home is almost empty. He said. 3 men stood at the edge of the crowd. The one in front had blonde hair and a scar under his eye. He was already smiling. A woman with long red hair walked beside him. Remember a couple days ago? She said everyone saw the trucks at Lin Chuan's villa. He bought 20 million worth of supplies and locked them inside. She held the blonde man's hand as they walked. That's enough food for a whole year. She said. More people followed behind them. But what if you won't share with us? Someone asked. The blonde rested a metal bat on his shoulder. This many people, he said. You think we can't take one house? Shovels and rakes rose into the orange sky. The mob was ready. I sat at my table with a slice of watermelon in my hands, cold, sweet and perfect. Then a warning tone went off through the house. I looked up. Extreme heat alert. Outdoor temperature had reached 40 degrees Celsius. So it finally started. 5 degrees higher each day for the next month, until it reached 80. I looked at the dead trees outside the window and took a bite. The real suffering had not even begun. Then a voice came from outside. Someone was shouting my name. A man stood at my glass wall with a bat over his shoulder. Open the door, Lin Chuan. He shouted. Hand over your supplies. Every last bit of it, he said. Now. I took another bite of watermelon and looked right at him through the glass. He could scream all day. Behind me, on the table, sat a plate of shrimp, chocolate cake and fresh juice. The man in the yellow shirt pressed his hands to the glass. How can one person eat all this? He shouted. Slices of cold watermelon sat on a bed of ice. I had saved them for exactly this kind of day. A fist slammed against the glass from outside. One of the men pounded with both hands. We've been neighbors for years. He shouted. This isn't right. They had seen the back room. Boxes of vegetables, fruit, rice, water stacked floor to ceiling. The woman in red stood between 2 of the men. You're eating like this alone, she said, and you won't share a single bite. Her eyes narrowed. That's too much, Lin Chuan. She pressed her palm against the glass and leaned in close. Through the glass door I could count a dozen pairs of legs standing in my yard. I reached across the table and picked up a kitchen knife, just for the fruit. I wiped my mouth with a napkin and stood. Everything in this house was bought with my money. I said. What right do any of you have to demand it? I looked through the glass at the crowd. The blonde thug, the woman, and a mob of desperate neighbors behind them. The blonde stepped up to the glass and raised one hand. Brother Lin Chuan, he said. It's just food, don't be so stingy. He laughed. You always like kinging, didn't you? The red-haired woman waved and smiled. I was cold to you before, she said sweetly. That was my mistake. She pressed her hands together and tilted her head. But I can give you a chance now. She placed her hands on her chest. Share the food with everyone, and I'll eat dinner with you tonight. She leaned against the glass and looked up at me. She was very sure of herself. She really thought she was a prize. I looked at her and felt nothing. I laughed. Let me make something clear, I said. Her smile disappeared the second she heard my tone. Her fists tightened at her sides. Where does this confidence come from? I asked, looking straight at her. Did you think I would chase after you for? I stood with my hands in my pockets. You've gone too far, Lin Chuan, she said. The blonde pointed his bat at me through the glass. Don't push your luck, he said. A few days ago, Xinjing and I helped you find a loan. He said. Remember that? He lowered the bat toward me. All the food and water you have now. I turned away from the window. I had heard enough lies. We're starving out here, he shouted, and you won't share a single meal. Where is your conscience? The mother raised her hand toward the burning sky. When this heatwave passes, she said, I will go to the committee myself and get you an award. She stood at my window like she was doing me a favor. A good neighbor certificate, she said with a bright smile. Your name right on it. I took a slow sip of my soda. A certificate, I said. I raised the glass. The ice clicked together inside. You want to trade my food for a piece of useless paper? Fanching walked up to the glass and stared at my drink. Is that soda? She asked. I am so thirsty outside. The whole city cooked under the sun. Not a single person on the streets. Just heat. She pressed her palms together and smiled. One want some too, she said. Please. I held the glass and grinned funny. Just 2 days ago, you said everything I stored was garbage. Her smile stayed in place. That was just a joke, she said. I was playing around. I tilted the glass in my hand. The ice shifted inside then. I leaned over and poured every last drop into the trash can. Even if I dump it all, I said, I would never give you any. Fangqing's face turned red. It is just a cup of soda, she snapped. Chen He stepped forward, face tight with anger. Lin Chuan, you have gone too far, he said. I held out my empty hand. I only poured out 1 cup of soda. Why is everyone so angry? I smiled at them through the glass. They were so easy to bother. I turned to the table behind me. Roasted chicken, grilled fish, noodles, soup, fruit, enough for a feast. I grinned. If 1 cup of soda made them this angry, the next part would be even better. I picked up a plate of watermelon and held it over the trash can. Might as well throw these out too, I said. The crowd slammed their hands against the glass. Open the door, someone screamed. You cannot waste food like that. More people crowded the window. The banging got louder. Open up, they shouted. I held up to empty plates and grinned. Everyone please keep going, I said. Do not stop now. I set a plate down on the table. A crowd this lively, I said. I think I should open a bottle of 1982 wine. It would be a waste not to have good wine for a show like this. I looked toward the kitchen. I walked away from the window. Let them watch me go later. Across the neighborhood, the 3 of them sat in the living room. The mother fanned herself. That boy Lin Chuan is nothing but trouble, she said. The air conditioner on the wall showed 16 degrees. Outside the window the sky burned orange. I am going to file a report with the committee. The mother said, her voice sharp. On the side table sat a single glass of water. That was all they had left to drink. I will have that selfish man kicked out of this community, she said, her fan shook with every word. Chen Hao tugged at his collar and looked up at the ceiling. Forget about Lin Xuan for now, he said. When will this heat end? Outside in the neighborhood pond, a fish floated belly up dead from the heat. Fun Qing sat quietly for a moment. Something does not feel right, she said. She turned to the mother. What if Lin Xuan was telling the truth the whole time? Her voice dropped. What if the end of the world is really coming? The mother turned on her. Nonsense, she said. It is just that brat scaring everyone. On the table beside the couch sat a face mask and a few bottles of medicine. Small things saved from before the heat. We survived epidemics, we survived everything. The mother said. A little heat means nothing. Fun Qing looked away. Outside, people were already turning on each other. Two pairs of hands pulled at the same cabbage. Neither one would let go. In the courtyard, a man crouched on the dry ground, a water bottle pressed to his chest. Two others stood over him. Chen Hao walked outside and found them. What are you doing? He said. Two men were shoving each other over a head of lettuce. Chen Hao watched from behind. You are hoarding supplies, he said. The mother stood beside him. Hands on her hips, he crossed his arms. Did I not tell everyone in the group chat? She said. No panic buying, no fighting over food, no hoarding. Her teeth were clenched. She faced the men, one of them still holding his cabbage. You are treating my words like nothing, she said. She set the glass down on the table. I had nowhere else to go, she said. So I came to you. Thank you for letting me in, Fang Qing said. She looked up at me from the couch, still a little pale but breathing normally again. I rested my chin on my hand. You didn't have any medicine at home. I told you to stock up. I had a full kit on the table. Pills, bottles, everything she should have prepared weeks ago. I had bought entire boxes of medicine before the heat got bad. They were stacked against the wall. Enough for months. I did buy some, she said, pressing her fist against her chest. I really did. Her fingers twisted together in her lap. She was nervous about something. But Auntie Chen got a fever too, she said quietly. She came and took all of my medicine. I tilted my head. Are you sure she borrowed it? I could picture it. The old woman standing at Fang Qing's door, pointing a finger at her. If you won't help an old lady, you have no heart. That face was full of anger, not pain. She was not asking, she was forcing. I didn't expect her to act like that, Fang Qing said. She looked helpless standing in front of the old woman. She sounded so sad at first. She said I felt sorry for her. Then the woman reached out and snatched the medicine straight from her hands. I stood still and thought about it. I owed Feng Shui for what she did in my past life, but being kind was not the same as being smart. She sat quietly on the couch, staring at nothing. She still felt guilty about losing the medicine. Outside, people were already carrying tools like weapons, shovels, rakes, anything with a sharp edge. Her kindness had no limit, and in this world, kindness without a limit would only bring danger. She needed to grow stronger on her own. I could not watch over her forever. Will this heat really turn into the end of the world? She asked. I looked outside. The trees around my house were already dying. The ground was cracked and dry. Yes, I said, and it will be worse than anything you can imagine. The sun burned hotter every day. There was no sign of it stopping. Right now it was only 40 degrees outside. In half a month it would reach 80. Every farm, every field, the crops would all be dead. Nothing but brown dirt and dry leaves. When the food runs out, the real end begins. I said. Friendships, neighbor bonds, trust, hunger crushes all of it. The worst side of people will come out, I said, holding my cup, and it will never stop growing. She reached for her glass of water on the table. The glass tipped and fell from the edge of the couch. A bright light burst from her palm. The glass stopped midair, and water gathered inside it from nothing. We both froze. Room filled with white light. Am I turning into a monster? She whispered. I picked up the glass. Water was pouring over the top, dripping between my fingers, more than any cup could hold. I stared at the glass, then at her. This was not a fever dream. Something had woken up inside her. She held the full glass up with both hands. It's a water power, she said, her voice shaking with surprise. I just felt thirsty. She told me I wanted water, and then it appeared. She closed her eyes and held the glass tight. A blue symbol glowed near her hands, and the water inside rose even higher. I leaned forward and studied the water. It was real clean, pure enough to drink. We sat across from each other at the table. The glowing glass rested between us. This is your ability, I said. You awakened it. My ability, she repeated. She looked at me like I was speaking a different language. I stood up. The world is changing. Strange things are happening that nobody can explain. But with a power like this, I said, you should be able to survive what is coming. I let myself smile. At least she had something real working in her favor now. Her face lit up. Then I can save everyone, she said. With the water I make. She was already dreaming rain on dead soil. Green plants pushing through the dirt again. We could all survive together, she said. She looked so happy. It almost hurt to watch. I crossed my arms. Water is the most valuable thing in the world right now, I said. If people find out what you can do, they will surround you every day. They will beg, they will demand. They will never leave you alone. And if begging does not work, they will chain you up and force you to make water for them. Like a machine, you could lose everything. Your freedom, maybe even your life. Her eyes went wide with fear. Keep this a secret, I told her. Do not tell a single person. She covered her mouth with both hands. Her eyes told me she understood. Even if she did not want to, I won't tell anyone either, I said, spreading my hands. But I can't just sit here and watch everyone die, she said. Her voice was small but firm. Stop, I said. This power is yours, how you use it, whether you tell anyone. Her hand rested still on the couch. She was turning every word over in her mind. That is your choice in the end, I said I am only warning you. Don't let people take advantage of you. I stood up and headed for the stairs, because once they use you, it will be too late to feel sorry about it. I will think about it carefully, she said with a gentle smile. I promise. I sat down across from her, with a first aid kit on the table. Your color is much better now. Here are 2 more boxes of medicine. Take them home. She took the medicine from my hand by the staircase. Thank you, Lin Chuan, she said softly. She waved goodbye, the medicine safe in her other hand. If not for you today, I really would not know what to do. She looked back at me one more time and smiled. A real smile, warm and grateful. Then she turned and left. I watched her walk away on the security camera. She moved slowly through the burning heat, small and alone on the empty path. She could create water from nothing. In a world that was running out of water, that power would make everyone want to control her. I sat alone on the couch, the half-empty glass and the first aid kit set on the table in front of me. Having her nearby would be useful, but her soft heart worried me. She had sat right there holding that glass, trusting the world. One day she would tell someone about her power. I thought about the other life again after I died. Alone on the ground, she was the one who came. She held a red umbrella over my body and stayed. The medicine, the first aid kit, the remote all lined up on the table. I owed her, so I would help her whenever I could. On the screen, she smiled and walked into the bright heat. I hope she would learn to see people for who they really are, because in this world, being kind without being careful was the fastest way to die. Even the stray dogs out there knew that. Out in the dark streets, a young man ran through the neighborhood, clutching a pack of instant noodles. They were expired, but he had not eaten in 3 days. A group stepped out to block his path. The blonde man with the scars stood in the middle. Andy Chan was right beside him. Hand over the food, they said. The young man pressed the noodles against his chest. I haven't eaten in 3 days. He said, it's just one expired pack. Please, he begged. Backing away, it's all I have left. Andy Chan held out her hand. Her face cold and flat. Give it up. Stop wasting our time. The crowd pressed in around him. If you don't hand it over, the blonde man said, things are gonna get ugly. The young man clutched the noodles to his heart. Please, he said. Just leave me one bite, one bite. He repeated, his voice cracked. Just enough so I don't starve tonight. They grabbed the pack right out of his hands. He was too weak to fight back. 3 men walked away chewing the dry noodles. They did not look back once. The red-haired woman shook her head. This is a joke, she said. We are out here, fighting over one bag of expired noodles. The torn wrapper sat in someone's hand. The dry noodles were already crumbling into dust. And that kid Lin Chuan is probably sitting at home right now, eating rice and meat, the red-haired woman said. What can we do? The fat man beside her said. He has truckloads of supplies. He won't share a single thing. Through the glass wall of his house, Lin Chuan watched them from inside. He never opened the door. He never said a word to any of them. The blonde man gripped his metal pipe and grinned. Who says we can't get in? Bring your weapons and follow me. He said, tonight we take everything he has. The crowd raised their bats and clubs into the air. Pipe sticks, even spiked clubs. They were done waiting. The alarm on my wall beeped. Warning, outside temperature has reached 60 degrees. Extreme heat alert. I picked up a piece of chicken with my chopsticks, fresh vegetables, noodles, peppers, everything steaming in the pot. I ate my meal by the window with a bowl of hot soup. The world was burning outside, but inside I was living well. I cracked open a cold soda and took a long sip. Soup, food, a cold drink. The table had everything. I leaned back and let out a breath. Life was treating me well. I touched my stomach, maybe too well. My pants were starting to feel tight. Time to start exercising again. No point surviving the end of the world just to get fat. Then a voice called from outside. Lin Chuan, it's me. I turned around, chopsticks still in hand. I checked the security camera. The red-haired woman from the neighborhood stood at the gate, wiping sweat from her face. Feng Xing, it's so hot out here, she called. I nearly died walking over. Can you let me in for some water? She said, pressing her hands together in front of the camera. I switched to the wider view on the monitor, and there they were. Andy Chen and the blonde man with the metal pipe, hiding behind the bushes. She did not come alone. Feng Xing, you didn't come alone, did you? I said through the speaker. She pressed her hand to her chest, sweat on her face. I really came by myself. She said, it's so hot. I was worried about you. Right behind her, Andy Chen and Chen Hao crouched in the dead bushes. They weren't even hiding well. She smiled up at the camera. Lin Chuan, what are you eating in there? It smells so good. I held my chopsticks and leaned back. Nothing special, I said. It's the end of the world. Supplies are hard to find, so I'm just eating a hotel steak. The meat sat thick and pink on the plate, still steaming. Oh, and I opened a jar of caviar this morning, I said, resting my chin on my hand. Couldn't finish it. Half a jar of golden caviar sat on the counter. I was getting bored of it, honestly. Too much good food and not enough hunger. A nice problem to have on the monitor. Andy Chen's face was tight with anger. Chen Hao's mouth was hanging open. Steak in hot pot. Feng Xing pressed her fist together, eyes wide and shining. Lin Chuan, I'm begging you, she cried. Let me in, I'm so hungry. Just one bite, she said, smiling through the hunger. That's all I need. She stood in front of my door, like she had nowhere else to go. What do I get if I let you in? I asked. I held my bowl and took a slow bite, watching her through the glass. She changed her approach. If you let me in for hot pot, she said, I'll do whatever you want. You used to want me to be your girlfriend, right? She said, let me in and I'll even kiss you. She touched her lip and blushed. Not bad acting, but not good enough. I said, waving my chopsticks over the hot pot. Stop the performance. Chen Hao and his whole crew are crouching right behind you, I said, with weapons in their hands. She froze. The group was already stepping out on both sides of the road. Behind her, you must be seeing things, she said with a weak laugh, but the sweat on her face told a different story. Chen Hao shoved past her, bat in hand. his whole group right behind him. Enough games, he said. Open the door, open it now. He repeated he was done pretending. Inside my hot pot was still bubbling meat, vegetables, noodles, everything they couldn't have. Chen Hao raised his bat high and swung it down at my door. Behind him stood the whole neighborhood, 10, maybe 12 people, all armed with sticks and pipes. Open the door, he growled, or we break it down ourselves. I pointed through the glass. Chen Hao, I said, take a good look at the spot where you just hit. The group stared at the door. Their faces said everything. Not a single mark, bulletproof glass. I said, steel frame. You could hit it all day and nothing would happen. I picked up my chopsticks and smiled. What made you think you could break through this door? Seriously, what gave you that idea? Chen Hao turned to Feng Qing. This door is too strong, she whispered. He didn't answer. If one person can't do it, he said, jaw tight, then all of us will. He turned to the crowd. Everyone grab your weapons. Hit it together all at once. They swarmed the door. Through the glass I could see their shadows closing in. Wooden bats and sticks slammed against the steel. The noise filled the house, but the door didn't move. Lin Chuan, you heartless man, the fat one screamed, swinging over and over. Another man charged at the door with a thick wooden pole, screaming at the top of his lungs. I stood inside, chopsticks in hand, watching. Not a single dent. The noise was getting annoying. I couldn't even eat in peace. The fat man stumbled back, holding his face. There's not even a scratch, he said. Another man bent over, breathing hard. This door is way too strong. Chen Hao looked at the door, then at his men. This isn't working. One of them said. Chen Hao's face went dark. Then we use a different method, he said. He stood in front of the door, staring at it. There had to be another way in. Since we can't smash it, he said slowly. We picked the lock. The banging stopped. I set my chopsticks down and listened. Quiet at last. What happened? I called out, grinning. You had so much energy a second ago. Through the camera, I could see Chen Hao turning away from the door. Something in his eyes had changed. Don't think a strong door makes you safe forever, Chen Hao said, walking off with his men. Behind me, boxes of supplies were stacked high against the wall. Water, food, medicine, enough for months. Last chance, Chen Hao shouted. Open the door and hand everything over, or you'll regret it when we get in. I picked up a slice of beef and dipped it into the sauce. Instead of screaming at my door, I said maybe spend that time figuring out how to actually get inside. The beef was perfect, soft, warm, dripping with sauce. I took my time with every bite. Her yelling was starting to ruin my appetite, honestly. On the monitor, Chen Hao's shoulders were shaking. He wanted to hit something. Then he stopped. A slow, ugly grin spread across his face. Old three, he shouted. Get over here, bring your tools. Feng Qing raised a finger. Right. I almost forgot. Old three used to be a professional locksmith. A man in a blue shirt stepped forward, carrying a metal toolbox. He opened it. Rows of lock-picking tools sat inside, all clean and neatly arranged. Auntie Chen smiled next to Chen Hao. Lin Chuan definitely didn't plan for this, she said. We brought a real professional, she said, looking very pleased with herself. This time he's finished. Old Tree held up the toolbox with steady hands. He looked sure of himself. Chen Hao tapped his bat against his shoulder and grinned. Once we're inside, we take everything. Old Three knelt in front of the lock and started working. Chen Hao stood behind him watching. Eat fast, Lin Chuan, Chen Hao called out, arms crossed while you still can. Old Three pushed his pick into the lock and twisted, forehead tight with focus. Leaned back and watched through the glass. A locksmith, that was their big plan. After a long moment, Old Three pulled his hands back. The lock is too advanced, he told Chen Hao. I've never seen anything like it. Chen Hao's voice dropped low. What did you just say? He grabbed Old Three by the shirt and pulled him close. You promised me you could open any lock. Old Three's face twisted. That was before. He said this one is different. For a moment Chen Hao just stood there. The confidence was draining from his face. The security level on this lock is higher than anything I've ever touched. Old Three said, voice shaking inside the door. The lock was full of gears and traps. Every piece was built to stop exactly this. I really can't do it, Old Three said. Sweat ran down his face. Chen Hao shoved him to the ground. I only kept you around for this one skill, he said. I fed you every single day. His eyes went narrow and cold. And now when I finally need you, this is what I get. He stood over Old Three. If you can't open this door today, don't follow me anymore, I mean it. He said, you're done. Old Three dropped to his knees. One more chance, he begged. Please let me try again. He went back to the lock, hands trembling, pushing his tools into the panel. One more time. I walked to the window. Still out here, I said through the speaker. If you can't get in, just go home. It's getting late, I added, smiling. Chen Hao raised his fist. Don't get comfortable, he shouted. When I get inside, you're dead, just wait. Lin Chuan, he screamed. I'll make you pay for all of this. Old Three was still working, sweat covering his whole face. Chen Hao paced behind him, fists clenched. Night had fallen. My house stood bright against the dark sky, every window glowing with warm light. I turned and walked down the hall. Wasting more time on them was pointless. I stayed up watching shows all night today. I needed to catch up on sleep, but since they refused to leave, I stopped in front of a control panel on the wall. Maybe they deserved a gift. My finger pressed a button on the keypad. Since you won't give up, I said, smiling, let me welcome you properly. Old Three screamed as the electricity hit him. His tools sparked and his whole body shook. He crashed onto his back, still twitching. The lockpick smoked in his hands. The group stood around him in a circle. Nobody moved to help. Auntie Chen nudged him with her sandal. He's not moving at all, she said. Is he dead? She whispered, hand pressed to her chest. Just passed out, Chen Hao said. But even he looked shaken. Lin Chuan wired his door with high-voltage electricity. He said quietly he had not expected this. Old Three lay flat on the cold ground beneath them. Not a sound. Chen Hao's jaw tightened. He's guarding this place like we're ghosts. He said. I leaned into the intercom. So I said, how's the surprise? Enjoying yourselves? I suggest you all leave now. I said, watching them through the screen. Because next time it won't just be passing out. Shen Hao stared at the door for a moment. He had nothing to say. Brother Hao. What do we do? The red-haired woman asked. Maybe we should just forget it. She flinched when he turned toward her. Forget it, she repeated softly. We can't stop, Chen Hao said. Too many mouths to feed. We break through tonight. No matter what it takes, he said. But how? The woman asked. We can't pick the lock. And old 3 almost died trying. Old 3 sat on the ground behind them. Head drooping, he was barely awake. Chen Hao turned away. Something new was forming in his mind. He squeezed his fist until his knuckles turned white. A shell won't save him, he said. His eyes went sharp and cold. He had made a decision. Someone opened a heavy bag. It was packed with small round charges, explosives. Chen Hao's father stepped forward, holding sticks of dynamite in both hands. He used to sell fireworks. He knew how to make his own. I stood inside, phone in hand. Through the cameras I could see all of it. Explosives. These people had actually brought explosives to my front door. Chen Hao held a bundle of dynamite and grinned. I know your door stops bullets. He called out, and yes, it has electricity. He lifted the sticks toward the light. But can I handle this? That same ugly grin spread across his face. He thought he had finally won. Be smart, Lin Chuan, he said, standing in front of the door. Open up, hand everything over. They taped the charge to the door and ran a long fuse all the way back. Everyone took cover on both sides of the road. If this door blows, Chen Hao said, crouching beside the woman, you blow up with it. I pressed the speaker button. Go ahead, I said. Try it. They had gone from bats to lockpicks to explosives. If I did not stop them here, they would never quit. I opened the system panel and started scrolling through the weapons. List: guns, food, water, tools. The display had everything. A rifle caught my eye. Tapped the weapon section. Several models appeared on the screen. I pulled out the rifle and held it heavy reel. But this was too much power. If I actually killed someone, it would only make things worse. I put it back. The next option was a crossbow. I selected it. It felt solid in my hands. Strong enough to hurt, not enough to kill. Just right outside. Shen Hao was still yelling through the smoke and noise. One last chance, Lin Chuan, he shouted. The red-haired woman smiled beside him. Open the door now. He flipped a lighter open. The flame jumped. Play nice, he called, and I'll even share some instant noodles. But once this fuse burns down, he said, you won't even have time to regret. I looked at the screen. The dynamite was strapped to the center of my door. The fuse ran all the way back to them. The door's alert system blinked. It had already detected the threat. I loaded a bolt into the crossbow. Same warning goes for you, Shen Hao, I said. Take your people and leave. If you don't, I added, holding the crossbow steady. The price will be high. He was not listening. He crouched near the fuse with his lighter, grinning. The flame touched the rope. It caught and started burning toward the door. Smoke filled the yard. Chen Hao walked through it, arms wide. Lin Chuan, he screamed, everything you own is mine. The red-haired woman bounced on her feet. Finally, she said, we can get inside. She was already dreaming about hot beef from my kitchen and ice-cold soda to wash it down. Once the smoke clears, we rush in. Chen Hao told his mother. She nodded, excited. Hurry, auntie, Chen said. Don't give Lin Chuan time to hide the good stuff. But when the smoke faded, the door stood exactly where it was. Not a single mark. Chen Hao's mouth fell open. It didn't break, he said. He turned back to the door, fist shaking. Every plan had failed. I raised the crossbow and looked through the scope. Your show is over, I said. Now it's my turn. What are you doing? Shen Hao shouted. The man next to him went stiff. The bolt went straight through old Ding's leg. He hit the ground screaming. My leg, he cried. Help me. Everyone looked down at him. The crowd behind Chen Hao went dead quiet. You dare shoot people? Chen Hao yelled, his face tight with anger. Auntie Chen rushed forward. I'm from the community committee, she shouted. You can't do this. I'll report you to the authorities, she screamed. They'll throw you in prison. I stared straight through the glass. My eyes said everything my mouth did not. You still don't understand, I said, resting the crossbow on my shoulder. The world has ended. Your committee title means nothing. My hand settled on the grip, ready for the next shot since words don't work on you. I said. I raised the crossbow and aimed right at them. Chen Hao and Auntie Chen both froze. A bolt flew past, bright as a spark. It sliced across Chen Hao's face. Blood ran down from his forehead to his cheek. He pressed his hand to the wound. Eyes wide. You hit me, he said. I'll kill you. Lin Chuan, he screamed. His whole body was shaking. The red-haired woman grabbed his arm. Stop, she begged. He has weapons and we don't. We can't win this fight, she said quietly. A heavy man in a yellow shirt pushed forward. Lin Chuan, we're all neighbors here, he called out. There's no need for this. He tried to smile. Let's talk like normal people, he said. I narrowed my eyes. You brought explosives to blow up my door, I said. Now you want to talk about being neighbors. I gripped the crossbow. I gave you every chance to walk away. The next bolt hit the leftover dynamite on the ground. It burst apart in a flash of light. The red-haired woman pulled Shen Hao back. Neither of them was smiling anymore. He's really shooting at us, she screamed. We have to run now. Shen Hao stood there, teeth grinding. Everything in him wanted to stay and fight. Auntie Chen grabbed his shoulder from behind. Son, let's go, she whispered. Not tonight. A smart man knows when to step back, she said, pulling harder. A bolt shot past Chen Hao's head. That was enough. He turned and ran. And the crowd followed. They disappeared into the dark trees. Not one of them looked back. Back at Chen Hao's place, the red-haired woman sat beside old Ding on the couch. A bolt still stuck out of his leg. Old 3 sat on the floor in the corner, head hanging. The electricity had knocked the sense right out of him. Someone pulled the bolts from old Ding's legs. With tweezers, blood dripped with each one. What do we do now? The red-haired woman asked. If Lin Chuan fights back like this, how will we ever get his supplies? Chen Hao sat against the wall. Fist pressed under his chin. The cut on his face was still wet. He dared to hurt me, he said. I won't let this go. Old Ding lay on the floor. One hand reaching out, help me. He begged, please. Chen Hao sat on the couch, with a fresh bandage on his face. Old Ding knows how to make explosives. He said keep him alive. He's still useful. Old Three sat against the wall, still dazed from the electric shock. He hadn't said a word since they got back. Chen Hao turned to Ching. Ching, go clean Old Ding's leg wound, he said. King Ching grabbed her shirt and stepped back. Me, she said. Andy Chen pointed at her. He told you to go, so go. She snapped. Stop wasting time. King Ching knelt beside Old Ding and pulled the bolt from his leg, her face tight with disgust. She stood up, bolt still in hand. The arrows are out, she said, but we barely have any water left. 5 bottles sat on the floor. That was everything they had. Old Ding's leg was still bleeding through the bandage. The wound needed to be cleaned fast. King King looked down at it. If we don't treat this soon, she said, he could lose the leg. How much medicine do we have left? Chen Hao asked. Auntie Chen smiled wide. Don't worry about that, she said. She leaned toward her son. Go ask that girl Shu Yao for help. Lin Chuan seemed close to her. She won't say no. Across the building, Shu Yao carried a blue bucket of water into her room. She had no idea what was coming. She crouched down and dipped her hand in the water. The heat is only going to get worse, she whispered to her. Her balcony was lined with buckets, red and blue, all filled. She had been saving water for days. She looked out at the dark buildings. If Lin Chuan ever ran low, she wanted to be ready to help. Just thinking about him made her cheeks warm. She pressed her fists together and smiled. Then she heard a knock, sharp and fast. She turned toward the door. Miss Zhang, open up. A voice cried from the hallway. Shu Yao pressed her hand to the door, and sure, outside Ching Ching stood in the dark. Please open the door, she begged. Old Ding is going to die. They had brought him on a stretcher. Xi King and Auntie Chen stood together, faces full of worrying, or at least that is what they showed. Old Ding groaned, one hand pressed to his chest. He was in bad shape. Xi Yao opened the door and looked at them. She bit her lip. She was already regretting what she was about to do. Minutes later, Chen Hao's whole group was sitting in her living room. They had made themselves comfortable. Someone took a plate of bread from her kitchen. Her bread. Xi Yao knelt beside Old Ding and wiped the blood from his wound. She was too kind to say no. King King chewed on a slice of bread, while Chen Hao watched from beside her. The power and water are out everywhere, King King said, looking around the room. So how do you have so much? All three of them looked at Shu Yao, waiting. She did not know what to say. You don't have to tell me, King King added, waving her hand. I'm just curious. But her eyes followed Shu Yao across the room. Curiosity was not all she had. In the bathroom, Shu Yao poured the bloody water into the toilet. It was dark red from Old Ding's wound. She placed her hand over the empty bucket. A green glow appeared, and clean water filled it from nothing. In the doorway behind her, Ching King watched every second of it. King King's face went still. You can make water, she whispered. Shu Yao spun around, eyes wide. She had just made the worst mistake of her life. My phone lit up. Shu Yao's name was on the screen. I answered Shu Yao. I said. Her voice hit me right away. Lin Chuan saved me. On her end, the room sounded empty and cold. I could hear water dripping and nothing else. Her breathing was fast and shallow, like she was trying not to be heard. They had locked her somewhere. They were making her produce water. She tried to stay calm, but her voice kept cracking. I tightened my grip on the phone. The basement was cold concrete. Shu Yao knelt between 2 water basins, while Ching Ching sat behind her on a chair, eating chips and watching like nothing was wrong. I did everything you asked, Shu Yao said quietly. Can you please let me go? Stop complaining, Ching Ching called from her chair. This tiny bit of water is useless. Keep going. Shu Yao's shoulders fell. She had been creating water for hours, and her body was giving out. If you slow down again, Ching Ching warned, still holding the chip bag, things will get worse for you. She reached into the bag and grabbed another handful. Without even looking, Shu Yao glanced at the food. Her stomach had been empty since yesterday. I can keep making water, she said, folding her hands together, but I haven't eaten in a full day. My body is getting weaker and my power is fading. She touched the water in the basin. The glow from her fingers was dimmer than before. Please, Shu Yao begged, looking up at her. Even just a small piece of bread. All she had was a single slice, with a bite already taken from it. King King held out a bag of chips toward her. For a second it looked like she might share. Shu Yao looked up and waited. King King pulled the bag back. Shu Yao's head dropped. You won't work properly and you still want food. King King said. That's not how this goes. You're going too far, Shu Yao said. Ching King's hand came across her face. Shu Yao held her cheek, eyes burning. This food was mine, she said. All of it was mine. Ching Ching laughed and kept eating. Who told you to be so kind and let us into your home? She leaned against the doorway, watching Shu Yao work. You even showed us your power without thinking. Be smart and cooperate, King King said with a smile. And we will feed you. She dangled a fresh bag of chips right in front of Shu Yao's face. Then she dropped it on the floor. Chips scattered across the dirty concrete. Or don't, she said. Hands on her hips, King King turned and walked out. Behind her, Shu Yao sat on the ground beside the spilled food. At the door, King Din paused and looked back. One more thing, she said. If anyone else finds out you can make water, she said, they will tie you up and use you like a water machine. Shu Yao sat still, one hand open. You might not even keep your life. She said it as easily as reading the weather. Shu Yao's eyes went wide. So for your own safety. King King continued. Keep your mouth shut. Don't tell anyone. Shu Yao's head dropped forward. A small broken smile crossed her face. It's all my fault, she whispered. Tears filled her eyes. I should have listened to you. Lin Chuan. She sat alone in the dark. I didn't listen, she whispered. Where are you now? Her fist tightened against the cold floor. Will you come for me? The tears came hard. She pressed her fingers to her eyes, but she could not stop them. She folded into herself on the basement floor. Arms around her knees, she was running out of strength. I found old 3 outside the building. I shoved the rifle in his face. Where did they take Xiao? I said. He pointed down the street, shaking. The underground auction, he said. They took her there. I told her to hide her ability. She did not listen, and now this was going to cost me. At the underground market, Chen Hao walked in with King Ching and Auntie Chen beside him. They were smiling like they owned the place. The room was packed. Dozens of people had gathered, all of them thirsty and desperate. Behind the stage, boxes of water bottles sat in neat rows. More water than anyone had seen in weeks. Chen Hao's group stood behind a long table, with the boxes in front of them. The crowd stared in silence. King and Auntie Chen shared a quiet look. Everything was going to plan. Dear neighbors, Auntie Chen began. Her voice warm and sweet. This terrible heat has lasted almost a month, she said, spreading her arms wide. People in the crowd leaned forward. They were hanging on every word. As a member of the community committee, she said, pressing her hand to her heart. It breaks me to see you all suffer like this. So our family sat down and made a decision. She said, her voice thick with fake concern. She turned towards Shen Hao and QQ. We will share some of our water with everyone. The crowd pushed forward. Their eyes locked on the bottles. Some of them could barely believe it. Voices filled the room. People were calling out, reaching toward the table. If you need water, Auntie Chen said, pointing at herself, come find us. The heavy man in the yellow shirt stepped forward. Is that true? He asked. You're really sharing water with us? Auntie Chen just smiled. She let the silence do the work. I haven't had a drop of water in 2 days. The man said. His voice was breaking. The heavy man touched his dry lips. My throat is burning, he said. I need water bad. Of course the water is real. Chen Hao said. He stood behind the table, with Ching Ching and Auntie Chen, all 3 of them smiling. He held up a bottle and turned it in the light. Water is worth more than gold right now. Everyone here knows that. 2 men in the crowd looked up at him, listening hard. So if you want water, Chen Hao said, waving the bottle. Bring money. The heavy man stepped closer, eyes locked on the bottle. His dry lips parted. He was ready to pay anything. The spiky-haired kid next to him grinned. He's right, the kid said. Money is nothing compared to staying alive. He stepped forward with a wide smile. What good is cash if you're dead? He held up a 100 yuan bill toward the table. Give me a whole box, he said. Keep the change, Chen Hao. Ching Ching and Auntie Chen shared a look. Their smiles did not reach their eyes. Then Chen Hao's face hardened. I think you misunderstand, he said. The kid held his money higher. At normal prices, Chen Hao continued, that bill could buy a whole box. The 100 yuan note hung in the air between them. Chen Hao gestured at the bottles behind him. But these are not normal times. He raised one hand. This is the end of the world. The kid stared at his money, then back at Chen Hao. The price has changed. Chen Hao said. He held up a single bottle. 2,000 per bottle. He pointed it at the kid. Not 1 cent less, he said. Chen Hao watched the kid's face twist with anger. He did not feel bad at all. That's robbery, the kid shouted, jabbing his finger at him. Why don't you just steal from people? King stepped forward, one hand near her chin. Easy now, she said sweetly. She tilted her head and smiled. Let's not say things we don't mean. The kid walked toward them, fist tight. Didn't you just say? King asked. That life is more important than money. The kid stopped. He had no answer for that. Auntie Chen waved her hand. Enough, she said. Why waste our breath on these people? She leaned towards Ching Ching. Look at them, she muttered. So cheap. The kid's whole body tensed. His fist was shaking. Auntie Chen pointed at the door. Want water? Pay up. Her arm stretched out all the way. If you can't afford it, get out now. Don't hold up the line, she snapped. There are others waiting. The kid clenched his jaw but said nothing. Behind him, people were already pushing forward. The 3 of them stood together, faces cold. The price was not gonna change. Then a new pair of shoes stepped through the crowd. A thick arm, a gold belt buckle, a purple shirt, stretched tight over a body that was not small. A big man pushed through to the front, gold chain around his neck, face like a wall. A quiet man with a fan followed close behind. He walked past the kid without a glance. Can pay 2,000, he said, then stop using up the air. The kid turned stunned, but the big man had already forgotten about him. Your lives are probably worth about that much anyway, the big man said and laughed like he meant it. Chen Hao straightened up fast. Young Master Wang, he said. What an honor. He offered a bottle of water with both hands. Please drink first. Chen Hao pressed his palms together and bowed. Wang Zi barely looked at him. Wang Zi was rich back at his farm. Meat was stacked so high he could lie on it like a bed. And he did. He touched his chest and grinned. How much water do you have? He asked. I'll buy it all, he said. Chen Hao's smile froze in place. Every last bottle. Wang Zhao's grin got wider. You're serious? Chen Hao asked, pressing his hands together. Wang Zi just stared at him. A briefcase hit the floor. It was open and it was full of cash. Stacks on stacks. King covered her mouth. Auntie Chen's jaw dropped. 5 million, Wang Zi said. Behind him, King and Auntie Chen were already on, running their hands through the cash. Neatly packed bills row after row. It was real money, all of it. But Chen Hao did not move. His jaw was tight and his eyes were thinking fast. Son, Auntie Chen whispered, holding a bill in her hand. What are you waiting for? Say yes. Chen Hao pulled her aside. 5 million worth of water, he said under his breath. We don't have that much. He put a hand on her shoulder and moved her away from Wang Zi. That girl in the basement, he whispered. She uses her power all night and barely fills a few bottles. Auntie Chen's face fell. Then where do we get the rest? She asked below them. Xu Yao sat on the cold basement floor. Green light came from her hand as she pushed water into a small basin. A whole night's work, and this was all she could make. Upstairs, King King bit her lip. So what do we do? She asked. Chen Hao stared at Wang Zhao's back. I've heard things about this man. He said quietly he owns a pig farm. His eyes narrowed. And a slaughterhouse. King King touched her throat. They say he kills pigs without blinking. She whispered. The three of them stood together. If we can't give him the water, King King said. Chen Hao rubbed his temple. What if he comes for us with a knife instead? They all thought of Xu Yao. How much could her power really do? Nobody knew the answer yet. People can do more under pressure. Auntie Chen said. Her voice was steady. A thin smile crossed her face. She was already thinking about how to push Xu Yao harder. Don't worry. Chen Hao told her. He put a hand on his chest. I have ways to make her produce more. He looked toward Wang Xiao, who was already getting restless. Right now the most important thing is keeping him calm. King King and Auntie Chen nodded. Ask him for a few days, Auntie Chen whispered. That's all we need. Chen Hao gave her a thumbs up. Good thinking, Mom. Auntie Chen closed her eyes and smiled. Wang Xiao turned his head, waiting. His patience was running out. Chen Hao walked over with his best smile. Don't worry, sir, he said. He pressed both hands to his chest. We have more than enough water for you. His grin stayed locked in place. We just need a few days to prepare it all. Wang Xiao's face went dark. He grabbed Chen Hao and pulled him close. Money is right there on the floor. He growled. Chen Hao's eyes went wide. And you're telling me to wait? Wang Xiao said. Are you playing games with me? Wang Xiao shoved forward, rolling up his sleeve. King King slid between them, pressing close to Wang Xiao. Young Master Wang, she said softly. She held onto his arm and looked up at him. We would never dare trick you. She said. The water is just stored in different places. She explained, tilting her head. Wangzi looked down at her, still frowning. We need time to count everything. She said. She leaned in closer. We can't give you less than what you paid for. That's all this is. Her hand pressed flat against his chest. She was trying everything she had. He pushed her away. Don't try that on me, he said. The three of them stood frozen. One day Wangzi said. That's all you get tomorrow. Same time I come to collect. He pointed at them and grinned wide. If the water isn't ready, don't blame me for what happens. He drew a flat hand across his throat. I'll drag all three of you back to my slaughterhouse. Chen Hao Ching Ching and Auntie Chen stared back at him. Terror was written across every face. The blood in your bodies, he said, showing his teeth, should last me a few days at least. He turned and walked away. Behind him the three of them stood like stones. His man picked up the remaining boxes of water and carried them out. Wangzi and his man walked into the dark hallway. The three of them watched him go in silence. Chen Hao stared after them. One day that was all they had. In the dark, Qingqing and Auntie Chen turned to each other. There was only one way to fill that order. In the basement, Xu Yao looked up from the cold floor. Please don't hit me, she whispered. I haven't been lazy, I swear. Xu Yao pressed a hand over her mouth and held up the other. Please. She begged. Do not hit me. She hugged her knees on the cold floor. Still begging. She had said the same words all night. Chen Hao had his back to her. He did not turn around. Then he faced her. His eyes were hard and cold. He grabbed a fistful of her hair and pulled her head back. Qingqing watched from behind as he held Xu Yao by the hair. One night, he said. And this is all you made? His jaw was tight with anger. Xu Yao shut her eyes. This is my limit, she whispered. Tears rolled down her face. I really tried my best. She lay on the floor, looking up past the legs above her. You heard what Wangzi said? Chen Hao told her. She lowered her head. She remembered every word. Let me explain something, Chen Hao said. His voice flat. Xu Yao looked up at him. Tomorrow night, 5 million worth of water. His grin spread slow and wide. One drop short and I give you to him. Her face went white. The way that man hurts people. He said. You do not want to find out. She had nothing left to say. Auntie Chen stood beside Chen Hao, studying the girl on the floor. Then she crouched down and moved closer. Xu Yao dear, she said softly. Her smile was wide and warm. Auntie knows you are a kind girl. Xu Yao looked at her with careful eyes. You always think of others before yourself, Auntie Chen said. She reached out and took Xu Yao's hands. Always caring about everyone around you. Then her smile faded. But if we cannot give Wang Xiao his water, she said, he will kill us all. Xu Yao held her gaze. She knew it was not a lie. Auntie Chen leaned in closer. Can you really sit here and watch us die? Behind her, Din Din stepped in with her hands open. Exactly, she said. The basin of clean water caught the dim light. People out there are dying of thirst. King added. Think about the old people, she said. The children. They need water to stay alive. The two women pressed closer. You cannot just let them die. Qing said. Xu Yao bent forward on the cold floor. I want to help, she whispered. I do. She raised a fist to her chest. I am not refusing, but I really cannot make more than this. Her voice cracked. Auntie Chen watched her for a long, quiet moment. Then her face changed. Everyone in this neighborhood knows, she said, looking up at Qing, that your friend, Lin Chuan, has been saving up food and supplies. Xu Yao turned her head at the name. Auntie Chen closed her eyes and smiled. If you do not make the water, she said, those thirsty, angry people will go straight to his door. Xu Yao stopped breathing. You two are always close, Auntie Chen went on. You do not want him trapped in his own home. Xu Yao's hand flew to her mouth. Lobbed of everything, legs broken. Auntie Chen finished. All three of them stood over her now. When people get desperate enough, Chen Hao said, breaking legs is the gentle part. He said it like he was talking about even if they kill Lin Chuan right there. He shouted, fists pressed together. Nobody will lift a finger to stop it. No, Xu Yao screamed. Throwing herself forward, her fist hit the floor hard. I will not let anything happen to him. She looked up breathing hard. Fine, I will make all the water you want. Just leave Linchuan alone. My house sat alone between dead trees. Everything around it was brown and dry. I ran a cloth along the rifle barrel. Clean already, but my hands needed something to do. Shi Yao's secret was out her power to make water. Shenhao's people had found it. They would treat her like a machine. Use her until she had nothing left. Getting her out of that place was not gonna be simple. This time I would need force. The red card sat on the table. A single eye stared up at me from its face. I picked it up and turned it between my fingers. I remembered her standing over me with an umbrella. She saved my life when nobody else cared. The card glowed warm in my hand. Light spilling through my fingers. Weapons took shape on the table. A rifle, a crossbow. A full pack of gear, everything I needed. I let myself smile, this would be enough. My boots hit the floor as I headed for the door. The hallway stretched ahead of me. Long and quiet, I had somewhere to be. Across town a building glowed in the dark. The underground auction was open for business. Inside, hands dragged the last heavy box into position. Behind the counter, Chen Hao stood behind rows of water bottles. Ching Ching and Ante Chen on each side. Finally ready, he said. He turned to the women with a grin. That girl just needed the right push. He held up a bottle. You have to force someone like her to listen. 3 young men appeared at the entrance. Their lips were dry and their eyes were hungry. I cannot take it anymore, one of them said. I need water right now. The man in yellow held out his phone. 1 bottle, he called. I am paying. A payment code filled the screen. He was ready to scan. His friend raised a hand behind him. I want a whole case, he shouted. A water bottle rolled on the ground. Between the crowd's feet, everyone was pushing forward. Chen Hao held up a finger. Sure, you can buy, he said. But the rules have changed. The spiky-haired kid looked up. What rules? He frowned. He had no idea what was coming. Chen Hao tapped the row of bottles. This is an auction now. He stood behind the table. Arms crossed, we sell to the highest bidder. That cold grin spread across his face. Whoever pays the most gets the water. King and Auntie Chen separated 5 bottles and set them on the counter. -1, that was all. All 3 of them smiled at once. They were enjoying every second of this. Just these 5 bottles tonight, Chen Hao said, pointing at them. He held his palm over the bottles. Starting price 5,000 per bottle. All 3 men froze. 5,000. One shouted it was 2,000 yesterday. King and Chen Hao stared back without blinking. Yesterday was yesterday, King said, touching her chin with a thin smile. The 5 bottles stood in a neat line. Today is a different story. She said these came from Wang Xiao's own order. She explained 5,000 is a fair price. The bald man's jaw tightened. His friends glared beside him. This is robbery, the bald man shouted, pointing at them. Do not let them fool you. He turned to the crowd behind him. They are cheating all of us. He yelled. His 2 friends raised their fists. There are enough of us, the big one said. Let's just take it. But the bald man's face fell. He saw something behind them. 2 large knives appeared from the shadows. 1 on each side of him. Wang Xiao's men had arrived. And then Wang Zi himself stepped forward. Same purple shirt, same gold chain. Same look that promised pain. He grabbed the bald man by the collar and lifted him up. You want to steal my water, he growled. The bald man's mouth opened and closed. No words came out. Wang Zi threw him to the ground like a bag of trash. Drag him away, he said. Break one of his legs. He waved his hand and did not even look back. They dragged the man across the floor. Nobody moved to help him. Wang Xiao's polished shoe stepped forward. Over the concrete, he looked at the bottles behind the counter and nodded. Not bad, he said. Then he turned to Chen Hao with a curious smile. But where does all this water come from? Wang Xiao raised his palm. Not so fast, he said. He leaned toward Chen Hao, rubbing his chin. Something about the water had caught his interest. He picked up a bottle and held it in front of his face. Where does all this water come from? He asked without waiting for an answer. He grabbed Chen Hao's head and pressed down hard. The bottle hovered right in front of Chen Hao's eyes. The message needed no words. If you don't tell the truth, Wang Xiao snapped, forget about your payment. A thug stepped up behind Chen Hao with a knife. Your hands and legs go next. Wang Zi added. Chen Hao threw both palms up in panic. Auntie Chen rushed to her son's side. Please, Wang Zi, don't be angry, she said. She turned to King behind them. We'll tell you, she said quickly. We'll explain everything. King stood watching her hand near her mouth. Eyes sharp and careful. Wang Zi turned and walked deeper into the room. His eyes had found something new. He stopped in front of a girl kneeling on the floor. Silver hair, white dress. Chains around her wrists. Don't come closer, she whispered. She pressed her chained hands to her chest. As his shadow fell over her, her golden eyes looked up wide and scared. Who will save me, she thought. Wang Xiao crouched down and reached toward her face. Not bad looking, he said. She caught his hand, but there was no strength left in her grip. He stood up and grinned down at her. What does this girl have to do with the water? He asked. He spread his hands wide. What's the connection, King? Auntie Chen and Chen Hao stood side by side, their faces tight. King stepped forward with a smile. This woman has a special power, she said. She pointed at the boxes of bottles on the counter. All this water, she created it. Wang Zi rubbed his chin. Staring at Ching created water, he said slowly. Xia stood with her chained hands pressed together. Saying nothing, Wang Zi crossed his arms and grinned. Then show me, he said. Right now a bottle appeared near Xiao's face. She looked at it with empty eyes. A foot slammed into her back and pushed her flat against the floor. When I tell you to make water, someone said you make water. Auntie Chen watched from the side. Her face tight, but she did not move. Xiao lay on the ground, her mind pulling her somewhere else. She had been warned about this exact thing. She remembered the words. If your power is ever found out, the voice had said it best. People will follow you everywhere. They will demand water forever. She saw it clearly herself on the ground chained, making water like a tool day after day. At worst you won't be able to save your own life. She had been told to bury this secret deep, to never tell a single person. She had promised she would. She had sworn Lin Chuan had told her the same thing. I won't say a word either. He had said, but I can't sit here and watch people die. She had sat across from him listening. He gave her the choice, not the order. His eyes had turned serious. This power is yours, he had said. Who you tell is your own decision. I'm just warning you, he had said. Raising one finger, don't let anyone trap you now. Kneeling on the floor in chains. Those words cut through her. Lin Chuan, she whispered. I should have listened. She remembered walking away from his protection. She had trusted Auntie Chen's lies instead. Tears pressed behind her closed eyes. She could not even protect herself now. Auntie Chen knelt beside her. Listen carefully, she said. You will do what you are told. She whispered. She pointed one finger at Xu Yao. If anything happens to my son, she said, I will make Lin Chuan pay for it. Xu Yao's eyes went wide. She grabbed a water bottle and held it close. No. She begged, please. Green light wrapped around the bottle. Water filled it from nothing. Wang Zhao's whole face stretched with joy. He reached down and took the bottle right from her hands. She really has powers, he said. Holding it up, Chen Hao and Auntie Chen stood behind him. Watching, Xu Yao looked up from the floor. Her chained hands folded tight. Wang Zhao's grin disappeared. He was thinking now, with this power, he said, who needs to worrying about water? He pointed down at Xu Yao. I'm taking this woman, he said. Chen Hao's face dropped. Wang Zhao. You can't be serious, he started. Wang Zhao turned on him with a snarl. You think I can't pay, he said. Or do you want me to just take her by force? Behind them a thug tightened his grip on a blade. The knife rested against Chen Hao's neck. His body went stiff. Auntie Chen pulled at Wang Zhao's sleeve. Please spare him, she begged. King slid in from the other side, resting her hand on his arm. You misunderstand, she said. Let's talk. It's her good luck that you chose her. Chen Hao said quickly, hand still raised, the blade inches from his face. Wang Zhao smirked. Now that's the right answer, he said. Auntie Chen let out a breath beside him. He reached over and patted Chen Hao's cheek twice. Good boy, he said. Wang Zi handed him a card. 5 million, he said. The girl is mine. But Xu Yao looked up from the floor. Something had changed behind her eyes. I don't think you can take her, she said. Her voice was quiet but steady. She was looking past all of them toward the entrance. Everyone froze. They all turned at once. I stood in the doorway, with the crossbow resting on my shoulder. I let them get a good look. Xu Yao smiled even through the bruises and the chains. She smiled. I kept my face still. I was already counting heads. I walked across the empty stage. My boots were the only sound in the room. I jumped off the edge. The whole group stood waiting. Chen Hao's thug Ching, Xu Yao on her knees, and Wang Zi above them all. I stopped. 2 of Wang Zhao's men moved in from both sides. But my eyes went to Xu Yao first. The marks on her skin, the chains. My jaw tightened. I'm fine, she said from the ground. She was not fine. Chen Hao stood with a blade. Wang Zi watched. Ching hovered close. I didn't think you would really come, she said, her head bowed between them. Wang Zi put his hands on his hips. Who are you, he asked. He looked me up and down. You think you can take her from me, he said. Ching covered her smile. Chen Hao smirked. I thought you'd stay hiding in that house forever, he said. I crossed my arms and let them talk. Chen Hao raised his fists. Today you finally dare to come out, he said. King Din tilted her head. You probably have no idea who Wang Zhao is, she said. She pointed at him and smiled. Pick a fight with him and you're dead. I spread my hands. A butcher, I said. He kills pigs for a living. I let a small grin cross my face. And that's what you all bow down to? Wang Zhao's fist shook. A vein pushed out on his neck. Say that again, he growled. Stepping forward, his face burned red. Auntie Chen hurried to his side and started whispering. She leaned into his ear. His name is Lin Chuan, she said. Just an orphan. No parents, no family. She shrugged with both palms up. Nobody important. Wang Zhao's face split into a wide grin. So just some homeless nobody. He laughed. He placed his hand on Xu Yao's shoulder and stood tall. This orphan dares bark at me. Xu Yao looked up at me. The fear in her eyes was not for herself. Lin Chuan, this is my fault, she said, her chains rattling. I didn't listen to you. Please just leave. She turned her face away. Don't worry about me, she said. Wang Zhao is too dangerous. Go. Wang Zhao only wants me, Xu Yao said. I'll go with him. Please don't worry. I looked at her on the ground, then back at Wang Zhao standing over her. I stood in front of her and shook my head. Relax, I said. I folded my arms. He's not taking you anywhere. Wang Zhao's face twisted. Enough talking, he snapped. I met his eyes with a small smile. Fine, let's talk business. Name your price, I said, holding out my hand. What will it take to let her go? Wang Zhao laughed. His men laughed with him. He grabbed Xu Yao by the shoulder and pulled her close. This woman cost me 5 million, he said. He leaned in with a grin. Can you even find 500 in your pocket? I spread my arms wide. No, I said. I don't have 500, but I have something better. Supplies. I glanced at his men. You have supplies too, and a lot of mouths to feed. His expression shifted. That was a problem he did not want to think about. How long can you last? I asked. 5 days, 10, maybe a month. And what about the animals at your pig farm? No water, no feed. They're probably dead by now. I held up to fingers 20 boxes of compressed biscuits, 15 boxes of instant noodles, 10 of canned meat, and a full box of medicine. I spread my hands. All of it for her. Fair trade. Xu Yao looked up from the floor. Her eyes were wet. So I said, 1 woman for all of that. Lin Chuan, don't. She cried. I'm not worth it. Forget about me. Wang Zi rubbed his chin. He was actually thinking about it. Then he pointed at me. Don't try to fool me with empty words, he said. I put my hand on my chest. When I gathered those supplies, Chen Hao and the others were right there watching. I pointed at them Xing. Andy Chen the blonde one. They know exactly how much I have. I said. The whole group went quiet. They knew it was true. I pointed straight at Wang Xiao. This deal is more than fair. But the blonde one stepped closer to Wang Xiao and put a hand on his arm. He leaned into his ear. Don't fall for it. He whispered. He has way more supplies than what he's offering. The blonde one said. He placed his hand on Wang Xiao's shoulder. Keep the woman, then you can take everything. Wang Zi and the blonde one looked at each other and grinned. Andy Chen stepped forward. Those two have been close for a long time. She said. She covered her mouth and laughed. They've already been together. She waved her hand at Wang Xiao. He'll pay anything for this woman. Wang Xiao's grin stretched wider. You're all right, he said. He turned to face me. You heard that? Lin Chuan, you heard every word they said. He stepped toward me. Your offer is not enough. He glanced over at Chen Hao. And besides, he said. Chen Hao grabbed Xu Yao by the arm and pulled her to her feet. Wang Zi reached out and lifted her chin. I'll take her home to warm my bed. He said. He held her face and looked at her like something he just bought. Chen Hao gripped her shoulder from behind. She's really pretty, boss. He said. He leaned close. After you're done with her, can you pass her to us? Something locked tight inside my chest. I touched my forehead and let out a slow breath. Fine. I said. The supplies I just listed. I raised my hand at 50 more boxes of each kind. I put my hand on my chest. Is that enough, King? King's eyes went sharp. She saw an opening. She stepped forward. Are you serious? She said. You brought 40 million worth of supplies. She spread her arms wide. If you share everything with us, there's enough food for years. Andy Chen raised a finger. This bad weather will last 1 year at most. She said. She turned to me. If you share your supplies with everyone now. She pressed her hands together with a bright smile. Everyone will be grateful to you forever. I didn't turn around. Take the deal. I said quietly. And don't push me. Wang Zi stepped right into my face. I'll push as much as I want. He said. What are you gonna do about it? He shook his fist at me. I didn't move. The blonde one grabbed Xu Yao and dragged her back. Give it up, Lin Chuan. He called out. He grinned wide. You're never getting her out of here. I tightened my grip on the crossbow. Then I raised it. You're good at using the boss's name to scare people. I said. I held the weapon in both hands. A few days ago you brought your boys to my house. Remember how that ended? I looked at each of them one by one. Then I aimed the crossbow straight ahead. I don't want to fight today. I said. The bolt pointed right at the blonde one's face. Let her go before I change my mind. Let her go, I said again. No smile this time. The blonde one scratched his head. Last time you had your house to hide behind. He said. He pointed at me. Today you came alone. The whole group stood together. FISTS ready, shoulders wide. Chen Hao flexed his arm. Wang Xiao's men are all trained fighters. The blonde one said. He put his hand on his hip. What are you gonna do? How will you get out of here? He looked down at the crossbow in my hands. With that toy. Seems the lesson I gave you last time was not enough. I said. You really wanna start something here? Wang Yi shouted. Xu Yao stood behind him with her head low. He walked through his men toward me. Someone handed him a butcher's knife. He took it. He gripped the blade and raised it to his face. I've never killed a person before. He said. A slow smile spread across his face. But now that I think about it, he stepped toward me. Blade first. Killing a person and killing a pig. Not much difference. He held the knife to his own neck and laughed. A blade right through here. He ran his thumb along the edge, watching the blood spray out. That should be fun. Wang Xiao was still grinning. He held the knife, like a man with all the time in the world. Then Xu Yao screamed. A blade hovered near her face. While someone held her in place, she grabbed Wang Xiao's arm. I'll go with you, she said. Just let him leave, please. Please don't hurt him, she begged. Her fists were tight against her chest. Wang Zi looked at her and laughed. Well now, he said. The girl actually has real feelings for you. I kept the crossbow aimed at his chest. His knife didn't scare me. I didn't blink. I didn't move. Lin Shu and Wang Xiao said, give me all your supplies. Then I'll let your woman go. He smiled down at Xu Yao. Simple trade, he said. How about it? I thought of the warehouse. Every box of food, water, and medicine I had stored. That was my lifeline. My grip tightened on the crossbow. Chen Hao leaned toward Wang Zi and whispered something I couldn't hear. I knew what they were after. Not just the supplies, they wanted my safe house too. The most secure building in the area. Both of their eyes lit up. They wanted everything. Wang Zi stared me down from inches away. I held his gaze. He raised the blade toward my throat. I'll give you one last chance. He said. Hand over every last supply you have. He said. And the key to your safe house. His men stood behind him like a wall. Do that and I'll let you join my crew. He said. I'll even feed you. I aimed the crossbow at his face. His offer was a joke and he knew it. So Wang Xiao asked, what do you say? Chen Hao crossed his arms behind him. I covered my face and laughed. I couldn't help it. Take my supplies. Take my safe house and make me your little servant. I raised the crossbow. You really think I'm someone you can push around? Wang Zi narrowed his eyes. You really think, he said, that one broken crossbow is enough to beat all of us? His whole crew moved behind him, fists up, shoulders wide, ready to charge. I smiled at every one of them who said, the crossbow was all I had. I pulled a pistol from my belt and aimed it at the crowd. Every face in the room went still. I never said I only came with one weapon. I said the gun held steady in my hand. Nobody moved, nobody spoke. King and Auntie Chen stood in the back. Both of their faces had gone white. He has a gun, King. King whispered. She grabbed Chen Hao's arm. Chen Hao narrowed his eyes. Calm down, he said. He waved it off. Even rich people can barely get real guns. He told her, and nobody like him. He smiled. That thing is fake. I aimed the pistol at his chest and said nothing. Chen Hao spread his arms wide. Probably a copy from some toy store. He said that the trigger doesn't even work. He added. My finger rested right on it. Toy gun, I said. I looked Chen Hao right in the eyes. Wanna bet your life on that? His confidence cracked. He took a step back, but he pushed through it. Then shoot, he shouted a second later. His hand went up. No wait. I pulled the trigger. The bang shook the room. Ching Ching screamed. Auntie Chen went pale. Is everyone okay? She asked. Smoke rose from a fresh hole in the floor, right next to Chen Hao's boots. Chen Hao stared at me with wide eyes. Where did you get that? He whispered. I held the warm gun up with a small smile. Having a gun is against the law, right? That's right. Chen Hao pointed at me. I'll report you. I'll bring the authorities down on you. I remembered the day he came to my door. He had dynamite in his hands and a grin on his face. The world was already falling apart. Streets empty, buildings burning. There were no authorities left. You think anyone out there still cares about gun laws? I asked. You think anyone is coming to save you? Auntie Chen stepped forward. What do you mean the world is ending? She said. She smiled like she knew something I didn't. When order comes back, I'll report you myself. She pointed at me. You'll spend your whole life behind bars. I aimed the gun right at her. Then let's wait and see who's right. I said I don't want trouble with any of you. I said I just want to stay alive in this broken world. That's all. I turned the gun toward Wang Xiao's face. So let her go and we all walk away. Wang Xiao stared down the barrel. So that's your hidden card. He said. No wonder you came here alone. I kept the gun steady and let the silence work. Shen Hao leaned toward Wang Xiao. Don't let him scare you, boss. He whispered. It's just one gun. Shen Hao said maybe 10 or 12 bullets. I listened to every word. My aim didn't move. We have dozens of men, Chen Hao said. Arms wide open, he grinned. Even if he fires every round, he'll run out before we. He bowed toward Wang Xiao. Just give the order. Wang Xiao looked at Chen Hao like he was looking at an insect. Then he grabbed Chen Hao by the throat. You want my men to walk into bullets? He said. Chen Hao choked under his grip. Or should I be the one to go first and die for your plan? Wang Xiao dropped him and turned away. His jaw was tight. Fine. He said. He spread his hands open. When he glanced at Xu Yao. She's just one woman, he said. Not worth dying over. Let her go. He told his men. Something loosened inside my chest. Xu Yao ran toward me and I reached for her. She held on to me like I might disappear. I thought I'd never see you again. She whispered. She told me everything. They locked her in a dark room. Made her do their work. Threatened to come after me. It's over now, I said. She looked up at me with soft eyes. Thank you for coming to get me. I took her hand. Let's go home. But before we could take another step, someone ran up behind us. Chen Hao blocked the way. You think you can just walk out? He said. Wang Zi gave you the girl. He said. What about those supplies you promised, Auntie? Chen pushed her way forward. That's right, she said. The canned food and the drinking water and the medicine. She counted each one on her fingers. She held out her hand. Pay up or you're not going anywhere. I raised the gun and tilted my head. You really think you're in a position to ask? Chen Hao pointed at me. Don't push your luck. But King King grabbed his arm from behind. Her fingers were shaking. I held the gun level and looked right through them. We can't win this, King King whispered. She pulled Chen Hao back. Her eyes were full of anger. But she held it and let it go for now. She said. We'll find another chance. Xu Yao walked beside me. We headed for the door without looking back. Back inside, Wang Xiao's blonde man stood waiting. The scar on his face made his smile look wrong. Wang Xiao turned on him, his face tight with anger. You made me lose face today, he said. He grabbed the man by the throat. I won't forget that. The red-haired woman pressed her hands together, shaking. Break their legs, Wang Xiao ordered all three of them. He waved his hand and walked away. Load the water onto the trucks. We're leaving. The blonde man clenched his fist. He was full of anger, but he pushed it down. He bowed low toward Wang Xiao's back. Please, he said. Give me one more chance. His hands squeezed together. I swear I'll make it up to you. His eyes sharpened. I know where Lin Xuan lives, he said. Wang Xiao stopped walking. He told me his security was too strong. He said. His shoes clicked to a halt on the wooden floor. This time is different, the blonde man said, pressing his fist together. His eyes were steady and sure. I can open his door, I guarantee it. I brought Shuya to the guest room. A clean bed, warm lamps, curtains drawn. The fridge was packed. Vegetables, meat, fruit, drinks, every shelf full. She wouldn't go hungry here. This is your room now, I told her. Snacks are in the cabinet. And the kitchen is yours whenever you want. She turned to look at me, quiet for a moment. You'd really let me live here? She asked. I smiled. Why wouldn't I if you don't want to stay? I'll take you home, I said. She shook her head and waved her hands. No, no, that's not what I meant. It's just, she said, looking down. You never used to let anyone near this place. Her voice dropped to almost nothing. She was thinking about what happened, how she'd shown her water power to strangers, and got caught because of it. I almost dragged you into danger with me, she said. I put my hand on her shoulder. That's done now, I said. Don't carry that around with you. Going to save you was my choice. My choice, nobody else's. Even if things had gone worse, I wouldn't change it, I said. But I had to say this too. Your heart is too soft, Xu Yao. In this world that can kill you. She looked up at me and smiled gently. I know I'll change, she said. I really will. That was enough for one night. Good, I said. Stop thinking about it. I turned for the door. It's late, go to sleep. At the doorway I stopped. Oh, one more thing. I could see the scratches and cuts across her arms and shoulders. There was a first aid kit on the shelf. Use that for your wounds, I said. Can you handle it yourself? Or do you need help? She smiled a little and shook her head. She held both hands up. I'll be fine on my own. She said. All right. I'm heading upstairs, I said. My room is right at the top. I waved as I left. If anything happens, just call for me. I walked up the stairs. Hopefully this time she'd learn to be more careful. Downstairs, Xu Yao pressed a hand to her warm cheek. Her heart was still beating fast. She smiled to herself, her face still red. Lin Xuan, she whispered. Why are you so good to me? The next morning, I smelled food coming from below. Shia was already at the stove. She stood there in my white shirt, frying eggs with a careful hand. I walked in from the hallway and stopped. For a second I just stood there and watched. She was there in my kitchen, moving around like she belonged. I couldn't remember the last time anyone cooked in this house. She noticed me and smiled. "You're up," she said. A bowl of vegetable porridge sat on the counter. Still steaming, she flipped the eggs one more time, holding the pan steady. "2 more minutes and we can eat," she said, holding up the spatula with a grin. "Go sit down," she told me. "I'll bring it over." I looked at her and felt something warm spread through my chest. Before she came, it was just me in this house. I never bothered with breakfast. Most days I barely even touched the kitchen. Lunch was whatever I could eat in 2 minutes. Now there was someone standing at my stove, cooking real food. She turned around with a plate of eggs in her hands. She met my eyes and smiled. Soft and easy. I looked away. My face felt warm, and I didn't know what to do with that. She was still watching me, close enough that I could see the warmth in her eyes. She held out the plate. "Here," she said softly. "Try the eggs." Then she held up her old clothes with a small laugh. "They were covered in blood and dust. I washed them last night," she said, "but they're still drying outside. Your shirt was the only thing I could wear," she said. "I hope you don't mind. I really didn't plan this," she added, standing there with the eggs in one hand. "It's fine," I said. "Don't worry about it after we eat." I said, "I'll go to the storage room and find you some proper clothes." I remembered grabbing boxes of clothes during my last supply run. I threw in everything without sorting. She smiled. "That sounds great." I sat at the table. "You don't have to wake up early for this." I told her there's instant food in storage. She set the porridge down and sat across from me. "Cooking is easy," she said. "It's no trouble at all. Try it," she said with warm eyes. "Tell me what you think." She pushed the bowl closer. "If you don't like it, I'll make something different tomorrow." She folded her hands and closed. Waiting for my answer, I lifted the bowl and drank warm, clean, real. She watched my face, her fingers tight against her collar. "This is 10 times better than ration bars," I said. She looked relieved. "Then I'll keep cooking," she said. She picked up her own spoon and started eating, glancing at me between bites. We ate together at the table, quiet and comfortable. I hadn't felt this normal in a long time. After the meal, I brought a cardboard box from storage and set it in front of her. I cleared my throat. "Don't get the wrong idea," I said when I cleared out the supermarket. I was moving fast. I grabbed everything, without checking the styles or sizes, I explained. Then I remembered exactly what was in that box, and my face went hot inside. Between the shirts and pants, there were plenty of women's clothes mixed in. "Just look through it," I said. "There should be something that fits." Shia reached in and pulled out a piece of red lace. She held it up. Her face turned pink. She looked at me with a teasing smile. "You didn't pick this one on purpose, did you?" she asked. She held it higher, laughing. I had absolutely nothing to say to that. I reached into the box and pushed the red piece to the side. "That one was an accident," I said. "It got mixed in with everything else. Just ignore it. That thing was not an option. Not in this lifetime. Everything else is normal." I said, "Pick whatever fits." She smiled and closed her eyes. Perfectly happy. "I'll go dig through storage." I told her maybe there's more in there. I turned and headed for the stairs, hoping the next box had fewer surprises. I took the steps quickly, trying not to think about it. After he left, Chiao picked up the red piece again. She held it in front of her, smiling to herself. Maybe it wasn't so bad after all, she thought. Across the neighborhood, a cup of instant noodles sat alone on a table. 2 women sat on a couch, one older with curly hair, one younger with red hair. Both were eating the same cheap noodles they'd had all week. The red-haired woman stirred her cup with chopsticks. Every bite tasted the same. "I haven't seen a single vegetable in days," she said. Her face was turning green. The older woman looked at her, lips tight. Even her mouth had blisters from all the salt. "Be thankful you have anything to eat," the older woman said. "Outside, most people couldn't even get a bowl of warm soup." "Stop complaining," she added. "The Lin family definitely has vegetables." She imagined boxes full of fresh fruit and vegetables, stacked high and overflowing. The red-haired woman narrowed her eyes. "You saw it yourself yesterday, didn't you?" she said. Lin Chuan had been eating like a king. Hot dishes, meat, watermelon and a cold drink, all on one table. His face had even gotten rounder. "Enough," the blonde man cut in from his chair. He raised a hand to silence them. Everyone knew the Lin household had more supplies than anyone in the area. "We're already looking for a way in," the blonde man said. He pictured Lin Chuan's front gate. Reinforced steel, every door and window sealed tight. His fists clenched. He was done sitting around and waiting. The older woman leaned toward him. "Will Wang Shua really agree to help?" she asked. "What if he changes his mind at the last second?" she said, hands open. Her eyes went sharp. "Or what if he doesn't come at all?" Both women sat in heavy silence. They were almost out of everything. Their last box of noodle cups was nearly empty. A few were all that was left. "I had to beg old Zhang for these," the older woman said quietly. The blonde man sat forward. "If Wang Xiao wants Lin Xuan's supplies, he has no choice but to work with us this time," he said, his eyes cold. "I will not let Lin Xuan live in peace." Later that day, I sat on my bed and rubbed my eyes. Then I turned my head and stopped breathing. For a second, Shio was right there in the red outfit on my bed. "Why are you on my bed?" I managed to say. She covered her mouth and laughed. "Your face bright red. You saved me twice," she said softly. "I want to repay you, but right now I have nothing else to give," she added, looking away. She turned back to face me. The room felt very warm all of a sudden. "Does it look good?" she asked. My face was burning. I tried to think of something clever. Nothing came out. I stood up from the bed. "You have a superpower," I said, keeping my voice steady. "You can create water. If you really want to repay me, just use your power to help me when I need it." I stepped back and gave her space. "You don't need to do anything like this," I said, raising my hand. She tilted her head. "But all your water tanks are already full," She said you don't need water. She had a point, but drinking water wasn't what I had in mind. I don't need you for drinking water, I explained. I have something much more important planned. I smiled. She listened carefully, her eyes serious now. Wherever you need me, I'll be there. She said just tell me what to do, she said, pressing her hand to her chest. I'll do it. Then a loud bang hit the front door. Xiao's head turned fast. Is something happening outside? She asked. I already had a good idea who it was. The blonde man stood outside my door, with a huge sledgehammer over his shoulder. Stop hiding, Lin Chuan, he yelled. He swung the hammer at the entrance. With everything he had opened the door now. Or today is your last day, he screamed. I walked outside and put my hands on my hips. Wasn't last time enough for you? I said. All three of them stood in my yard. The red-haired woman, the blonde man, and the older lady. And you still dared to come to my door, I said, spreading my arms. The red-haired woman stepped forward with a smile. Before was just bad luck, she said. This time we came fully prepared, she added. So they actually made a plan. Interesting. I pointed at her. All right. Now I'm curious, I said. The blonde man turned to face me. Your doors and windows are reinforced, he said. He grinned through the glass, but the walls aren't. Open the door, he said, holding the hammer tight, or we'll smash through the wall. He gripped the handle with both hands, ready to swing. I crossed my arms and looked at him. So this was their big idea. Can't break the doors, can't crack the windows. So now they want to tear down the walls. Sure, I said. Standing tall, go ahead and try. I turned to face all of them. Let's see if any of you can put a single crack in my wall. The glass walls behind me caught the sunset light. Not a scratch on them. Then someone pointed a gun. A new voice arrived. Wang Zi stepped into the yard. He looked at me with nothing but hate in his eyes. You dared to threaten me yesterday, he said, raising his fist. Today we settle everything. He turned to his men. Three of them stood in a line, waiting for the order. Whoever breaks through the wall first, Wang Zi shouted, gets a full rack of ribs. In this world, fresh meat was worth more than gold. I walked back inside, dropped onto the couch, and put my hands behind my head. Let them swing all day. I had nowhere to be. Xia ran in, pointing toward the front. They're hitting so hard, she said. What if they actually break through? What if they really smash through the wall? She asked, her face tight with worrying. I stood up and looked at her. You haven't eaten today, I said. Are you hungry? I reached my hand toward her. Come on, let's get something to eat. She blinked. How can you ask about food right now? She said. She stared up at me. People are trying to break into your house, and you're thinking about eating. I turned and walked toward the kitchen. She followed me to the fridge. I opened both doors wide. Inside was everything: fruit, vegetables, drinks, leftovers, more than enough for two. I handed her a slice of watermelon and a strawberry cake, something sweet. I said, it'll help you relax. She looked at me with wide eyes. They're smashing your walls outside, and you don't care at all, she asked. She held the plate of cake, still confused, but I wasn't worried. My walls could handle anything those fools brought. I held out the watermelon to Xia. Relax, I said. Sit back and enjoy the show. Outside, Wang Xiao's crew kept swinging their tools at the walls. Bats, hammers, even a welding mask. None of it mattered. Their arms were shaking through the glass. Not a single crack, not even a tiny mark. Three of them stopped to catch their breath. Knife, hammer, and fists, all useless against my walls. Wang Xiao stormed over, furious. Already tired, he shouted. I gave each of you a bun this morning. He looked at his men like they were garbage. They could barely stand up straight. Hit harder, he screamed through his teeth. Near one man's boots, a knife lay flat on the ground. The blade was bent and cracked. The red-haired woman walked over and bent down to look. She stared at the ruined blade in the dirt. The blade is destroyed, she cried, her hand on her chest. How is that possible? She turned toward the glass wall. Not a single scratch on it. The wall was perfectly clean. Wang Zi turned on the blonde man. He held up the broken blade. You explain this. What is going on? Wang Zi demanded. You promised me you could break this wall. He pointed the broken blade at the blonde man's face. You swore it would be easy. The blonde man stared up at the ruined blade. He had nothing to say. It must be your men, the blonde man said finally. They're not strong enough. Wang Xiao jabbed the broken knife at him. My men not strong enough. He pointed at one of his fighters, a man whose arms were thick as tree trunks. Every one of them can pull a truck. You dare call my men weak? Wang Xiao growled, his fist tight under his chin. The truth was simple. Nobody had eaten a proper meal in days. Even a bowl of hot noodles was just a dream now. The woman in the floral robe stepped forward. It's not that they're lazy, she said gently, they just haven't eaten enough. She pressed her hands together and gave Wang Xiao a hopeful smile. Maybe if we push a little harder, the wall will break. Wang Zi didn't want to hear it. He grabbed the sledgehammer himself. Get out of my way, he said, gripping the handle tight. All of you useless. He raised the hammer over his head and slammed it into the glass wall. I refuse to believe this wall can't be broken, he roared, winding up for another swing. Inside, Xiao and I watched from the red couch. They won't get through, I told her. She smiled a little, but the worrying was still there. They keep coming every few days. She said tomorrow they'll come up with a new plan. She said this is gonna keep ruining our peace. She sat with the cake plate in her lap. I couldn't argue with that. You're right, I said. They couldn't hurt us, but having them show up every day screaming, that was getting old. I tapped the side of my head and thought about it. Go inside, I told her. I'll figure out how to end this. Outside, the hammer crashed into the wall. With everything Wang Zi had, sparks flew everywhere. He leaned on the hammer, panting. The wall was harder than a steel safe. He could feel it in his hands. The blonde man walked over. The wall is built with military material, he said. That's why nothing works. Wang Zi kicked the ground hard. Lin Chuan, that little punk. He turned this whole place into a fortress. Wang Zi growled, his teeth pressed together. The villa stood wrapped in glowing blue energy. Every wall, every window, built to be unbreakable. But then Wang Zhao's face changed. The anger slowly turned into a grin. A fortress, he said. Even better, he stepped forward, his shoes pressing into the cracked earth. Once we get rid of Linchuan, he said, looking at the house, this fortress becomes ours. He stared at it like he already owned it. He spread his arms wide. No matter how bad things get outside, we'd live safe in there. He pulled the blonde man and another fighter close. The decision was made then. He turned to the blonde man. You said you found help, Wang Zi said. Where is he? How come he's still not here? Wang Zi demanded. A pair of brown leather shoes stepped through the dust. Don't rush, Mr. Wang, a calm voice said. A bald man appeared in a tan suit and dark sunglasses, beads around his neck. He looked at the villa and his grin got wider. He liked what he saw. He walked up to the group. Wang Zi, the blonde man, and the red-haired woman all turned to face him. So this is Lin Chuan's villa, the bald man said, studying the building. He raised a hand to his forehead and looked it over. Top to bottom, even nicer than in the photos. The red-haired woman pressed close to him. You have no idea how terrible Lin Chuan is, she said sweetly. He has boxes full of supplies. She told him food, water, medicine, everything, but he refuses to share even a little. She added, her eyes soft and innocent. She pressed her hand to his chest and looked up at him. I'm so hungry, she whispered. The bald man's face turned cold. He dares bully you, he said quietly. He wrapped his arm around her. Don't worry, he said. I'm here now, I'll handle everything. Behind those glasses his eyes were hard. His mind was already made up. The blonde man stepped between them. Mr. Wang, let me introduce you, he said. He pointed, this is Brother Bao. Wang Zi looked him up and down. I've heard of you, but aren't you a money man? Wang Zi grinned. What can a businessman do for us here? Don't tell me. You also know how to break into safe rooms, he said, half joking. Bao shook his head with a calm smile. I don't know how to pick locks, he said. He lowered his glasses just enough to show his eyes. But I heard Lin Chuan has real weapons, and it happens that I do too. He patted the red-haired woman's shoulder and turned toward the trees. He clapped his hands together. One sharp sound, a man stepped out from the tree line. On his shoulder sat a loaded rocket launcher. I saw it through the glass from the couch. A rocket launcher that was new. But a smile pulled at the corner of my mouth. Still not worried, Wang Zi couldn't believe it. You actually got one of those, he said, staring at the green tip of the rocket. The man held the launcher up proudly, the green tip catching the last of the sunlight. BL spread his arms wide. In my line of work you risk your life every single day, he said. The tip of the rocket pointed at the sky, green, heavy and very real. Yao stood beside his men. One had the weapon, the other had the orders. Both were smiling. Wang Xiao's frustration turned to pure excitement. He reached out and touched the rocket. Beautiful. The launcher was aimed straight at my front wall. Even the strongest door will blow open under this, BL said. Wang Xiao clenched both fists. Then everything inside becomes ours. The blonde man pointed at my window. You see what we brought, Lin Chuan? He shouted. He laughed and jabbed his finger forward. Open the door or we open it for you. Bao raised a hand to calm things down. This villa was promised to me to cover a debt, he said, a long time ago. He held up his fist and the debt was never paid. Not a single cent. He turned toward the glass wall. So this house is mine now, he said. He stood beside the rocket launcher. But I'm a reasonable man, he said. I don't enjoy violence. His fingers rested gently on the tip of the rocket. A strange thing to say, while touching a weapon like that. Hand over the house right now, he said with a thin smile. He opened his hands wide. And I promise you'll walk away in one piece. You can even go see your parents. Looking decent, he added. His smile made it clear that was a death threat. I stood up from the couch. My boots hit the clean floor, one slow step at a time, so that was their big surprise. A rocket launcher, no wonder they felt brave today. I smiled. Too bad for them. Even a rocket launcher, I said, spreading my arms wide, won't leave a scratch on my safe house. I looked straight through the glass at the bald man. The blonde man pointed at me, shaking with anger. You're insane, he shouted. Bal stopped smiling. Fine, he said. Don't say I didn't warn you. He nodded and the launcher swung toward my wall. Bal's smile turned cold. Then don't blame me for what happens next, he said. He swung his hand down. Hard fire. Wang Xiao watched beside him, grinning. The man squeezed the trigger. The blast hit the ground like thunder. The blonde man and the red-haired woman stumbled back, shielding their faces. Thick smoke wrapped around the villa. But when it began to clear, the glass wall stood untouched. The red-haired woman stared. How? She whispered. What is this house made of? She said. Even a rocket can't break through. The blonde man stood next to her. Just as lost for words, I raised one finger and smiled. I already told you, I said. Not even a heavy cannon would do more than shake the walls. I crossed my arms. They could waste everything they had. Nothing would change. Wang Zi punched the air outside. This house is harder than stone, he shouted. He stared at the launcher, then at the untouched wall. The rocket did nothing, so we just stand here, he yelled. Watch him sit inside and laugh at us. The red-haired woman placed a hand on his arm. With a calm smile, relax, she said. Bio still has a plan. The blonde man nodded behind her. That's right, he always has a backup. An older woman in a floral dress smiled wide. My son always finds another way, she said proudly. The blonde man stood with his arms folded. Don't worry, cousin, he said. He turned to face Wang Xiao. Today won't be wasted, I promise you that. Then he looked at Bao. The people I asked you to bring. They're here. Biao's eyes went sharp behind his glasses. 2 old people halfway to the grave, he said. That wasn't hard. The launcher hung low, useless now. Why would it be? BL added. He smiled beside his man. I brought them already. The blonde man grinned and put his hands on his hips. Good. He turned back toward the glass. Through it, he could see Lin Chuan and Xu Yao standing inside. Your safe house is tough, Lin Chuan, he called out. He rubbed his chin slowly. But tell me, Are you sure there's nobody out here you care about? Behind the trees, hands shoved someone forward. A thick grip landed on an old man's shoulder and forced him down to his knees inside. She gasped, her heels hit the floor fast as she ran toward the glass. Two old people knelt in the dirt outside. A guard held them both from behind. An old woman in blue and an old man in a black suit. The old woman was crying Yao Yao. She called out, her voice cracking. Are you okay? She Yao pressed both hands flat against the glass. Mom. She whispered. Dad. Her fingers curled against the cold surface. She couldn't reach them. How are you here? She cried. How did they find you? Her father's voice came through, tired and distant. The harvest was good this year, he said. We stayed at the old house just like you told us. The old couple stood between the guard and the dead trees. We never even left the village. Her mother added quietly. Then these men broke in. Her father said, his face was pressed to the ground, a boot near his head. They grabbed us without a single word. Bao looked down at the old couple and smiled. So these two are your parents, he said. She slammed her fist against the glass. Don't touch them, she screamed, tears running down her face. She pressed her hand over her mouth, trying to hold back the sobs. If you want something, come for me. She choked out. The blonde man strolled toward the glass, the red-haired woman at his side. I noticed how nervous you got about Shia, he said, his grin stretched wide. You really do care about her, don't you? The red-haired woman tilted her head. Now look at her suffer, she said. Does it hurt? He spread both arms out. Does it break your heart, Linchuan? He shouted toward the glass. The red-haired woman sneered, arms tight against her chest. She glanced at the villa. You really do care about that little girl, she muttered. Pia placed both hands on the old couple's shoulders. I don't want to be hard on old people, he said. He stood over them like he owned them. But if you don't want your girlfriend to keep crying, open the door, hand everything over, he said. One hand opened toward the villa. His fingers dug into the old man's collar. Because I can't promise. These two old people will still be alive by morning. My jaw tightened beside me. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. But the tears kept falling. She looked up, her voice cracking. You take old people just for supplies. You have no heart at all, she shouted. The blonde man and the red-haired woman both laughed, out loud like she had told a joke. Humanity, the blonde man said, still grinning in the dying light. He put a hand to his forehead. In this world, staying alive is all that matters. Wang Xiao grabbed the old couple by their hair and pulled both heads back. Xu Yao's face went red with rage. I could feel her shaking from where I stood. Bet you wish you'd left with me that day, Wang Xiao said with an ugly grin. He looked down at the old couple beneath him. Too bad it's too late now. He tilted his head, satisfied. Blame Lin Chuang just won't open the door. Xu Yao, he bellowed toward the glass. The blonde man stepped forward. Palms open. I know you love your parents, he said. So if you can make Lin Chuan open that door, he said, the red-haired woman smiling behind him. He placed a hand over his heart. I promise your parents go free right away. Through the glass, the two of them were visible to everyone outside. Lin Chuan standing still, Xu Yao trembling beside him. She turned to me, her eyes were red and full of something she didn't know how to say. Outside, the older woman in the floral dress jabbed her finger at the glass. You ungrateful girl, she shouted. Your parents suffer because of you. Don't you feel guilty, she screamed. What are you waiting for? She turned to the blonde man. Tell her to make Lin Chuan open up before her parents pay the price. The whole group stood in a line outside. The old couple knelt at the front. Every eye was aimed at the glass. The red-haired woman pointed at the old woman. You were eating cake inside just a moment ago, she said. She flicked her fingers lazily. While your parents are out here in pain because of you. I looked at Xu Yao. Do you want me to save them? I asked. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. She searched my face for something. I watched her eyes from up close. She was fighting with herself outside. A fist grabbed the old woman's gray hair and yanked hard. Xu Yao flinched. Her hands flew up like the pain was her own. Her lips pressed into a tight line. She was holding everything inside. Then she closed her eyes. They're my parents, she said softly. They raised me. They gave me everything I have. Xu Yao, I said. The safe house door glowed with blue energy behind us. Still sealed, still strong. You know what happens if I open that? I said. She reached for my arm. Her touch was light and careful. Please, she said. Save them. Behind her eyes I could see it. Her parents' tired faces, their pain, their silence. I can't just watch them get hurt in front of me, she said, her voice firm now. Her eyes locked on mine. So I'm asking you, please. My fist tightened at my side. Outside, the blonde man laughed and leaned back. Lin Chuan, he called. The red-haired woman smirked beside him. What are you waiting for? He shouted, jabbing his finger at the door. Open up already. He gave a thumbs up. Let us in. The red-haired woman clapped her hands together. Finally, the red-haired woman said, eyes bright, no more instant noodles. She closed her eyes and sighed happily. Hot pot steak, I can't wait. But Xu Yao turned back to me. I also know, she said quietly, that once you open that door, you'll be in danger. They could kill you. I can't let you risk your life, she said, just because of my parents. Her eyes filled again. I won't push you into that. She turned, walked to the glass door, and dropped to her knees. I'm sorry, Mom, Dad, she said. Your daughter is not a good daughter. I brought all of this on you. She knelt there with her head low. I made you suffer so much, she whispered. I stood behind her. Not a word left my mouth, but Lin Chuan saved my life, she said, tears running down her face. She was on the floor at my feet. Head low. I can't hurt him just to save you. Your daughter really can't do it, she whispered. Her voice was barely there. I stood behind her. She had chosen me over her own parents. Outside, the woman in the floral dress threw her arms open. And grateful, she screamed. You'd throw away your own parents for some man you barely know. The blonde man stood behind her watching. Xu Yao's parents stayed on their knees in the dirt. Their faces said everything. Xiao stared out through the glass at them. I could feel the weight pressing down on her. Dark rooms, cold floors. Xiao had lived through worse than this, and her own family had put her there. She got to her feet and stretched a hand toward me. None of this is Lin Chuan's fault. She said, her voice was sharp now. Outside, Wang Xiao crossed his arms and laughed. "And grateful all of you." He said. He looked at one of his men and nodded. The man pulled out a knife. The blade passed between their hands, big, heavy, sharp. A fist grabbed the old man by the collar and pulled him close. Wang Zi pressed the blade flat against the old man's throat. "Let's see how tough you stay," he said. Xiao squeezed her eyes shut. "Stop," she cried. The knife rested against the old man's neck. He didn't move, he didn't breathe. I walked up to the glass and raised my hand. The whole crowd outside turned to watch, but I didn't reach for the lock. I turned to Xiao and placed my hand on her shoulder. Outside, someone grinned. "Wide and ugly Lin Chuan." The voice said, "You finally came to your senses." The bald man in the tan suit smiled and opened his hands. "You finally made the right choice," he said. They all thought I was giving in. I took Xiao's hands in mine and looked at her. She looked back, confused but trusting. Outside, Fang Din narrowed her eyes at us through the glass. "What does he even see in that girl?" she muttered. She waved her hand lazily. The blonde man standing beside her. "She's nothing compared to me," she said. She pointed straight at the glass. "Lin Chuan, you're blind," she shouted. I pulled Xiao close. Let them say whatever they wanted. Wang Zi leaned forward, his face red enough stalling. He barked. He stood over the old couple, grinning down at them. "Open that door and let us in," he demanded. He raised the knife above his head and turned to his men. "Get ready, boys," he roared. They cheered. Behind him, one of the thugs jumped with his fist in the air, already celebrating. 3 more stood together, arms raised, grinning like they had already won. I rested my chin on my hand and smiled. "Don't you think you're celebrating a little too soon?" I said. I waved my hand toward the sealed door. Xiao stood beside me, smiling too. "I never planned to open it," I said. "I thought about all the food inside. The hot pot, the beer." "You wanna eat my food," I said. "Keep dreaming." Through the glass, I saw Chen Hao's eyes go dark. Blood ran down his face. "What did you just say?" he growled. I smiled right at him. Xiao crossed her arms beside me. "What made you think," I said, "that you could threaten me in my own home?" The safe house glowed behind me, its shield still strong. I pulled out my phone and pressed the red button. On the screen, arrows, dozens of them. They shot from hidden launchers all across the yard. Chen Hao and Wang Zi stumbled back. Arrows buried themselves in the dirt all around them. I looked at Xiao and gave her a small nod. "Go get your parents," I said. She ran to them. Her hands found her mother's arms, and she pulled her up gently. Chen Hao turned to face me, his voice tight. "Your house has hidden weapons too," he said. "If I stayed inside, you couldn't touch me," I said. The safe house sat behind its energy shield. Chen Hao wiped the blood from his lip and grinned. "But now you came outside," he said. His men lay flat on the ground. The arrows had already done their work. He stepped toward me, fist tight. "Wang Xiao will never forgive you for this," he said. He turned to the big man beside him. "Right, Wang Xiao," he said. Wang Xiao's face twisted with rage. "Lin Chuan," he screamed. He jabbed his finger at me. "You killed my men. I'll never let this go." I looked at him and smiled. "You come after me again and again," I said. I pointed right back at him. "You got it wrong. It's me who won't let you go." I held his stare. It was time to change the rules. The bald man spread his arms and laughed. "Change the rules? Big words for a small man," he said. Wang Xiao stood beside him. He looked at the crossbows lying on the ground. "That's probably the best you've got," he said. Chen Hao shrugged. "A guy with no connections," he said. "Getting one gun and a few crossbows is probably your limit." He was still smiling. Xiao placed the rifle in my hands. My fingers closed around the grip. I held it up for everyone to see. "Still want to keep looking?" I said. "I have plenty more." The barrel pointed straight at Chen Hao. His smile vanished. "Where did you get that?" he said. His voice cracked. I remembered he had stood at my door once, taking a box of my supplies right out of my hands. That was where it all started. I looked through the scope. "So let's start with you two," I said. The ground in front of them erupted. Fire and smoke swallowed everything, from stealing my supplies to bombing my door. All of it was Chen Hao and Fang Cheng. Chen Hao's face filled my crosshairs. Sweat ran down his forehead. Fang Cheng hit the ground on her knees. "It wasn't me," she screamed. She pointed at Chen Hao from the dirt. "It was all his idea. He tricked me into it. He told me you were easy to push around." She kept pointing. "He made me follow his plan." She pressed her hand to her chest. Eyes wide. "I didn't know anything," she cried. "All those supplies in my warehouse. That was what they had always been." After my finger found the trigger. "I don't have time to listen to you to blame each other," I said. The bullet cut through the air. 4 holes appeared in Wang Zhao's purple shirt. He looked down at his own chest. Xia held a rifle beside me. "Will they come back?" she asked. I kept my eyes forward. "Maybe," I said. "People like them don't learn easy. But don't worry, I have plenty of ways to handle them." Inside, the old man held his stomach. It had been a long time since his last meal. "Let's eat first," I said. Food was already waiting. Xiao's mother pressed her lips together, trying not to cry. Xiao looked at me, a small smile breaking through. "Can my parents live here too?" she asked. "Of course they can," I said and held out my hand. "You stood by me today," I said. "You didn't trade my life for theirs. I trust that you won't turn on me." She placed her hand over her heart. "Every word I said today was real," she said. Behind her, her parents stood side by side. For the first time, they looked at peace. "You saved me twice," she said softly. "And now you're protecting my family. I'll remember this for the rest of my life." She met my eyes and held them. "I will never do anything to hurt you," she said. I put my hand on her shoulder. "I know," I said. "Let's not stand out here," I said and smiled. Take your parents inside. Hot food waited on the table. Rice, warm dishes. Steam rising from every plate. After they eat, I told her, I want to show you something. I led her through a hallway lined with shelves. Every one of them was packed full. How can there be so much? She whispered. Her eyes wide. The shelves stretched wall to wall. Floor to ceiling. Food. Drink supplies. Enough for months. This is just part of it. I said there's more in other places, but that's not the real thing. I want you to see. I held up a small pot. A green plant grew from the soil inside it. She stared at it like it was impossible. Outside the world was dying. Cracked roads, burning buildings. Heat everywhere. Even the grass by the roadside has turned to dust. She said quietly. Dry earth. Dead roots. A rusted shovel lying in the cracks. And here inside my wall, something green was still alive. She now stared at the little green sprout. Seeds like this went extinct weeks ago. She said. I placed the potted plant in her hands. Fresh leaves, real soil. Still growing because I have this system. I said that was the only explanation she needed. And it's not just one plant. I told her. Behind me sat rows of sealed bags. I grabbed one off the shelf and held it up for her. Grain seeds packed tight inside a small bag. Worth more than gold out there. There's something I need your help with, I said, turning back to her. Cucumbers. Green vegetables, bags of different seeds. I had enough to start a real farm. Can you grow these for me? I asked, handing her the bag. She looked worried. Even if we have seeds and water, she said. The temperature outside is close to 50 degrees. The thermometer on the wall proved it. The earth outside was nothing but dry cracks. No soil left, no life. Plant them out there and they'll die in a day. She said. She was right. What if we don't plant them out there? I said, holding up the seed bag. With a smile, I led her to the large building behind the main house. Inside was a full greenhouse. Vegetables in rows, wheat on one side. Digital screens tracking everything. She checked the thermometer. Around 20 degrees inside. Her eyes went wide. Not hot, not cold. I said, all year round. Outside the city was burning. Inside we had cool shelves full of supplies. 2 different worlds. She held the plant gently and smiled. This place really is perfect for growing things. She said. The proof was all around us. Green lettuce, red tomatoes, tall wheat, all alive under the lights. I'm planning to build a bigger base. I said. The whole place will stay at this temperature. The supply room was already full. Glass doors, clean shelves. Everything organized and ready. Good enough for people to live in. I said. And good enough for plants to grow. She formed a ball of water between her palms. That was her power and I needed it. Tomato, broccoli, carrot. I had seed packets for all of them. Your water plus my seeds, I said. We can grow more food than we'll ever need. We won't have to depend on stored supplies forever. She turned to me. You want to grow all this to save more people? She asked. Is that why you're doing this? She sounded surprised. I looked at her for a moment. Honestly, I said. At first I didn't plan to worrying about strangers, but I understood what would happen. If everyone ran out of food, people would turn into monsters. The city would die. Everything we built would disappear. People would kill each other over a single box of supplies. And after that things would get much darker. Things I didn't even want to think about. I could defend myself against Chen Hao and his gang, but not against thousands of people who had nothing left to lose. No amount of supplies or weapons could hold against that many. One person sitting on a pile of food would not survive for long. She just stood there quietly. She understood the problem now. She set the plant down on the shelf. I'll do it, she said. I'll help you. I want to try, she said, and her voice was steady. I waved my hand toward the shelves of seed bags. The base, location, and construction. I'll handle that soon. I'll get everything ready as fast as I can. But for the next few days, I need you here, I told her. I pointed at the rows of seed bags on the table. Sort them, I said. Find out which seeds are strong and which ones grow fast. Your parents worked the fields their whole lives. I said. They know more about this than we do. If the plan worked, we'd have shelf after shelf of living, growing plants enough to change everything. She hesitated. Can I tell them about the plan? She asked quietly. Once the base is built, yes. I said. We'll make sure everyone finds out. I'd use every way I could. Messages, news, whatever. Still worked. And there's one more thing. I said. I had been thinking about this for a while. I looked right at her. I want you to be the leader of the new base. She pointed at herself, eyes wide. Lin Chuan, are you serious? She asked. I took her hand and held it. Not at all joking, I said. You're the person I trust the most. You think about everyone, not just yourself. I said. That's rare these days. You're better suited for this job than I'll ever be. She looked down, a soft warmth in her expression. She believed me and your power. I said. People already know what you can do. I put my hand on her shoulder. They'll follow you. I could picture it clearly. A crowd of people with their hands raised, finally believing in something again. But my personality, she said. Looking away, she still doubted herself. You were too gentle before. I said. I know that. But she had been through so much already. Threats, betrayal, violence. None of it had broken her. I've watched you change, I said. And the person you became is exactly who this space needs. You don't see it yet, I said. But you already have the strength to lead. So trust me on this, I said. And waited for her answer. Her eyes shone. Lin Chuan. She said. Don't worry. She raised her fist and stood tall. I won't let your trust go to waste, she said. Somewhere across the city, a woman in a floral dress sat beside her son's bed. She held out a small bag. I saved these cookies, she whispered. It's all I have left. Just a handful of cookies in a thin plastic bag. That was the last of her hidden food. Eat them quick, she said, glancing nervously at the door. Before Fang Qing and John Bo find out. Chen Hao took the bag and opened it. His stomach had been empty for days, but he held the bag back toward his mother instead. She shook her head. She closed her eyes and pressed her lips together. She would rather starve than take food from her son. The door slammed open. A red-haired woman walked in, with a bald man in sunglasses right behind her. See, She said I told you they were hiding food. The bald man stepped forward. Chen Hao's mother moved between them. I saved these myself, she said. They're for my son, you have no right to take them. She shouted behind her. Chen Hao's jaw tightened. The bald man shoved her aside with one arm. Get out of my way, old woman, he growled. He grabbed a bag of cookies and squeezed it in his fist. I've been watching them for days. Fang Qian said from behind him. I came the second I saw them sneaking food. The bald man grinned wide. Behind him, Fang Qing waited for her reward. Half a cookie, that was all she dared to ask for. The bald man held what was left of the bag. Looking down at it, he had no plans to share. The cookies lay scattered on the dark floor. A hand reached for them in the silence. The bald man was face down on the ground. Blood on his head, his glasses cracked. He wasn't breathing. Chen Hao stood over the body and pointed down. Shut your mouth, he said, his voice cold and sharp. He turned his finger toward Fang Qing. Keep screaming and you'll end up right next to him. Her face went white. Please. She cried. It wasn't my idea. John Ba forced me to do it. She threw herself to the floor beside the body. Still making excuses, she pressed her forehead to the ground. Please forgive me, she whispered. Chen Hao looked down at her without pity. Stop the act, he said. Wang Zi was dead. John Ba was dead. The two men who once ran this group were both gone. Chen Hao crossed his arms and bit into a cookie. I'm the only one left who can keep you alive. He said, so be smart. Chen Hao stared down with blood still on his face. Don't even think about trying anything. He warned. Fang Qing sat on the floor at his feet. One more problem from you, he said, and I won't think twice. She forced a thin smile and crossed her arms, but her eyes gave away the fear underneath. I'll never go against you again, she said quickly. Whatever you tell me to do, I'll do it. Chen Hao looked down at her and smirked. Then get out of my sight, he said. What they really needed was food. Bags of vegetables, boxes of fruit. Anything to keep them alive out here. He held up the last half-empty bag of cookies. Go find supplies, he said. If you come back empty before dark. Fang Qing scrambled to her feet. I'll go right now, she said. I'll find something. She slipped through the door. Chen Hao watched her go. His mother stood right behind him. That woman keeps going against us, his mother said, jaw tight. She even ran to John Bao to report us. A broken vase lay on the floor, red spilling across the wood. The room was falling apart around them. The shelves told the full story. Empty boxes, used bags, dead bottles. There was nothing left to eat. Sang Biao's body still lay crumpled on the floor. Chen Hao didn't even glance at it anymore. He tilted his head back and grinned. We'll deal with Fang Qing later, he said. His mother's eyes lit up. Oh, I see, she said. You're keeping her as backup food. She clapped her hands together and laughed. She won't try to run, will she? His mother asked, glancing toward the door. Chen Hao squeezed the cookie bag and smiled. She has nowhere else to go, he said. I pressed both hands against the cold metal doors and pushed them open. The greenhouse stretched out in front of me. Green on the left, golden wheat on the right, blue screens tracking everything from above. Xiao walked beside me and covered her mouth. This is even better than I imagined, she said. I raised my thumb. You did a great job, I told her. She stepped close and placed her hand against my chest. Lin Juan, she said softly. I actually did it. I never doubted you for a second, I said back at Chen Hao's hideout. Fang Din returned. He grabbed her by the shoulder the second she walked in. He pulled her face close. You promised you'd find food, he growled, and you came back with nothing. I didn't find food, she admitted, pressing her fingers together nervously. But I heard something important. He gripped her chin hard. A safe base, she said. They give you 3 meals a day just for joining. I heard it from people on the road, she said, hand on her chest. It's near the old warehouse on the west side. She described rows of fresh vegetable growing under lights, shelves of food. Enough for everyone inside. Chen Hao stepped back and laughed. A place like that actually exists, he said. He slapped his palm against his forehead. No more starving in this dump, he said. We're going tomorrow. The next day they stood inside the safe base. Crops grew on both sides of the path. As they walked in, a woman at the front desk handed them application forms. Fill these out clearly, she said. Your old address, your full name. Have you ever hurt anyone or stolen supplies? She asked. A pen began moving across the paper. She crossed her arms and explained the process. I'll enter everything into the system for review. Sweat rolled down Chen Hao's forehead. A background check, that was going to be a problem. But he forced a smile anyway. Our whole family are honest people, he said. Never caused any trouble. His mother nodded beside him with a sweet smile. That's right, she said. Not once, please, his mother said, leaning forward with wide eyes. Register us as fast as you can. She grabbed the form and started writing as fast as her hand could move. We haven't eaten in days, his mother added while she wrote. We're starving. The registration woman gave a polite smile. You fill out the forms first, she said. I'll go arrange some emergency meals. She turned and walked toward the door. The heavy door swung open from the hallway. A moment later everyone looked up. Chen Hao, his mother, Fang Qing, and the registration woman all turned toward the entrance. Chen Hao's eyes went wide. Xiao, he shouted. Xiao stood in the doorway, wearing a black suit. Her expression was ice cold. She glanced at the group, then at the registration woman. Zichen, are these people applying to stay? She asked. Yes, Zichen said, gesturing toward them. They just came in. They're filling out their forms now. Xiao looked at them without blinking. These people don't belong here, she said. Let them go. Fang Qing's teeth clenched. On what grounds? She snapped. This base doesn't belong to you, Fang Qing said, pointing her finger. You can't decide who stays. She's the base leader, Zichen said. Every vegetable in this greenhouse was grown by her ability. He has every right. Chen Hao spread his hands wide. Even if you're the leader, he said, you can't just throw people out. I heard this base has an investor behind it, he continued. Someone with real power. His eyes narrowed. If you keep acting like this, He said that investor won't be happy. He pointed past Shuya. Take me to the investor. He demanded. I want answers. He raised his thumb toward himself. You owe us an explanation. He said. Shuyao's voice was quiet but firm. Give up that idea, she said. My boots hit the floor as I walked in, and the room went silent. I stood beside Shuyao and put my hands on my waist. Nobody owes you anything, I said. Because the investor of this base is me. Chen Hao's mouth fell open. He looked at me like I had risen from the dead. That's right, I said. Me. Shi Dao held her hand out beside me. So stop dreaming, she told them. His mother stepped forward. Face burning red. We don't accept this, she shouted, pointing at us. Your own notice said it clearly. She argued. As long as someone has good character, they can join. The rules were posted right on the wall. Rule 1, good behavior. No bad history, no name on the blacklist. So where did we fail, she yelled, jabbing her finger at my chest. I leaned back and let myself smile. Good character, I repeated slowly. Do you really think you have that? Ask yourselves honestly, I said. I pointed straight at them. All those ugly things you've done. I said, should I list them one by one? I held my arm out. Zhu Yao stood behind me with her arms folded, watching. His mother tried to look small and innocent. We're just ordinary people, she said softly. It was dangerous out there. She pleaded. We only wanted to survive. Others attacked us first. She pressed her hand to her chest. We are the real victims here, she said. I thought about what Shen Hao had done. Stealing food from an old woman too weak to fight back, carrying her last bag of rice on his shoulder, like a prize. Wang Xiao, face down on the floor, killed by someone he thought was a friend. And John Bio check. Shen Hao smashed him from behind and never looked back. To dirt mounds under dead trees. They buried the body, and thought that would be enough to hide everything. You thought nobody would ever find out. One said. Chen Hao grinned and spread his fingers wide. They deserved it, he said. Not a trace of guilt. Zhu Yao closed her eyes and pinched the bridge of her nose. These people were beyond saving. I raised my hand. Take these people outside, I ordered. They are never allowed to step inside this base again, I said. Fanqing lunged forward. I was wrong, she cried. Shen Hao and his mother forced me into everything. She pointed at the other two. It was all their idea, she said. Blame them, not me. She pressed her palms together and looked straight at me. Please, she whispered. Just one chance. I can farm, she said. I can carry water. I'll do whatever work the base needs. I won't cause any trouble, she said. I swear it. Shen Hao hit the dry ground outside the walls, thrown out with nothing after they were gone. I turned to Xiao. Do you think I was too harsh? I asked. She looked at me with a calm smile. They brought it on themselves, she said. And if we let them stay, she continued, glancing at the greenhouse behind us, someone would end up dead inside these walls. She was right. I knew she was right. Outside the base, Chen Hao barely got to his feet before an angry crowd found him. A large man with a bat stepped forward. Finally, the man said, I've been looking for you. Chen Hao's mother grabbed his arm from behind. What do you want? She screamed at them. Her eyes went wide with fear. This is right outside the safe base, she shouted. You wouldn't dare. The man pointed straight at them and stepped closer. He looked like he very much would dare. Outside the walls, a man stepped forward with a kitchen knife in his hand. The city behind them was dead. Every tree was dry. The heat had taken everything. You told us the heat would pass in 2 weeks, he shouted at Shen Hao. You said not to store too much food. But the heat never stopped and the food ran out. Tears ran down his face. My wife starved to death because I believed you, he said. He pointed the knife at all three of them, Fanqing, Chen Hao's mother, and Chen Hao. You killed her, he said. Another man grabbed Chen Hao by the collar and pulled him close. I used to call you brother, he shouted. He held up a water bottle with one hand and wiped his eyes with the other. I went out to find water for my family, he said, and while he was gone, Chen Hao walked into his home and took their last half bag of rice. He was smiling when he did it. My son didn't eat for 3 days. The man said. The boy lay weak, in his arms barely moving. He clenched his fist and stepped toward the three of them. People like you deserve everything that's coming, he said. Feng Xiying pressed her back against the wall. It was all Chen Hao and his mother, she said quickly. I didn't do anything. The knife came closer. I swear, she said, her voice shaking. None of this was me. The blade came down. Xiao and I walked out from the base together. Fang, Cheng and the others were on the ground in front of us. Nobody was getting up. They hurt everyone around them, Xiao said quietly, and in the end, they only destroyed themselves. She turned to me. Do you think this world will ever go back to normal? She asked. I looked out at the empty city. The sun still burned above the dead streets. As long as we hold this base, I said, and protect the people beside us, we will make it through. She smiled. So did I. She took my hand.